So I'm looking at the totals here. And of the revamped zones, Stone Talon is the best by quite a margin. And considering how short and sweet it is, that's actually not too surprising. In terms of zones overall, it is beaten by Storm Peaks and Howling Fjord. And of course, the 3 starter zones. But yeah, that puts Stone Talon way up there. Go figure. But now we're moving on from the Stone Talon into what I call the South Barrens quagmire. Let me ask you something. What happens when you have a war where both sides need something in an area? It's not really a place of value or worth, but Faction 1 needs to claim an area in order to have a travel line. It's all about roads. And Faction 2 needs to prevent that from happening. And because of how much of a mess it is, both factions just constantly pour more and more and more troops into just a grinding, bloody stalemate. Because that is the South Barrens.
Greetings, traveler.
We need all the help we can get.
Go in peace. How may I aid you?
This way, I see you're discovering the Hyde Road. The Alliance hopes to sever our ties with Stone Talon, but they forget we Tauren have hunted across the land for generations. We know every hillside switchback and game trail from here to the Thousand Needles. But for these paths to stay open, we must stop the humans from mapping them out. Patrol east, kill any scouts you find.
Be careful.
Congrats, Zakdeft. The Horde, therefore, starts off by going up this high road, the one we're going on right now. I apologize, I meant to spend some time respecing to enhancement during the lunch break, but if I'm being completely honest, I spent my lunch break trying and failing to take a nap. No, that sounds normal to me, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. Most game studios for the last 40 years haven't really valued the writing staff. Oh, that was weird. So yeah, this outpost didn't used to be here. Just like Stone Talon. South Barrens is fairly different from its original version. Just to show it off a little bit, too. The reason it is now South Barrens and North Barrens is because of this. If it's not obvious, the Barrens used to just be one zone. One colossally huge zone. I think it was actually the biggest zone in the game back in vanilla. We'll get there, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. We'll get there. Yeah, we actually saw this happening during the cinematic, if you remember. So there's North Barrens, which is mostly unchanged. It still looks like the North Barrens. The South Barrens, well, it's a little bit different down here. We'll actually be able to talk about things like brickwork, because check it out. Actual Kata-era brickwork. Holy crap. But for now, let's go back and follow the quest chain, shall we? During the lore run, I decided to do a quest, and then switch, and then do a quest, and then do a switch, and then do a quest. We're actually not going to do that this time. I felt like that kind of hurt the flow and pacing of things. Instead, we're going to do it on one side and then the other, like we've been doing. I just mentioned that, though, because like Stone Talon, this is not a clear one side then the other thing, like we had back in Ashenvale. Instead, both sides are progressing through the South Barrens pretty much at the same time.
What brings you?
Patrolling the high road is grave business, but it must be done. These narrow mountain trails are, for the time being, one of our only lifelines into Stone Talon. They must be preserved.
We shall meet.
Honor's stand may have been lost, but its spirit was never crushed. Even now, survivors are holding out at a point called Hunter's Hill.
May the eternal sun shine.
I do not, Blade Javal. Although, actually, I guess that's not a lie. I take that back. At certain specific points in development, we know that the writers have had a fairly large amount of regard as well as control over the projects. I can say that because, you know, most of their central games, like Diablo 2, Diablo 3, StarCraft, StarCraft 2, and certain points of WoW's history, the writers have been fairly well regarded. Not always, obviously. I mentioned how Cat is where the game starts getting good. Well, Pandaria is when the story starts getting good. Put to you that way.
Loktar.
From these hidden paths, we can rain terror on our enemies down below. There's not much honor in hit-and-run strikes, but a good warrior knows to keep his foes off balance.
Be safe.
Those that surrendered when honor's stand fell are no longer worthy of our horde. But I'm not giving them up yet. The prison tower below us is lightly guarded. Let's give those prisoners one last chance to die with honor. I've set up ropes that allow you to quickly climb down the mountain. Slip in, acquire some confiscated weapons, and rearm the prisoners.
Strength. Go forth to victory.
Our resources are limited, but that doesn't mean we can't use some trouble down below. Use the ropes to sneak into the hillside, slay the prison wardens. Killing a couple of scrawny guards won't turn the tide of battle, but imagine the fear and chaos we'll reap as the humans discover mutilated bodies.
May your blades never dull.
Yeah, I was going to say Square is the other big exception there, obviously. Ironically, I can also point to the exact time at which Square started really valuing its writing staff. That would be Final Fantasy IV. We were talking about this recently. At least part of the problem with Pandaria was Cataclysm. Don't mistake me, I liked Cataclysm quite a bit, but it was a very problematic and troublesome period. And that last patch was a little bit of a rough one. And after the tumultuous Cataclysm, the thing that they were promised in order to bring players back and keep them interested was Pandaria. And a lot of people were like, what? This is terrible and dumb and stupid. And obviously, Pandaria did eventually prove itself, right? Even people who are detractors of Pandaria at launch have come around to, yeah, it's one of the better expansions. But you can understand at least a little bit of the ire at the time. Excuse me. There it is.
Thrall Hall.
Who goes there? Her footsteps are not the lazy stride of a guard. A shaman, still brave and free. There's no hope for me. I've lost my eyesight and I'm no longer fit for battle. I dared speak up while Captain Peak savagely beat one of the prisoners. In return, he kicked me in the head, and kept kicking me. He kicked me blind. You'll find him at the top of this tower. If you seek justice, bring me his eyes. If he does not part with them willingly, so be it.
For the Horde.
Yeah, when players bring up, there's this really, really dumb thing, and I'm going to call it that. I myself fell into this trap a while ago, I don't anymore, where players would try to justify their faction as being better by insisting that the other faction was worse. You've probably heard of this if you're even remotely familiar with the player base of World of Warcraft. Take those. Yeah, no, it really is just politics at this point. There's no attempt to... Yeah, it's sports team thing. Oh, your team did this and this. Oh, yeah, well, your team did such and such. And yeah, I'm just sick of it at this point.
Speak, friend.
But obviously, part of the problem here, and this is actually well written for once, part of the problem is the South Barrens is a quagmire. And you're probably thinking, and? No, think about it this way. This is not the elite forces of Stormwind. These are not hardened military regulars who cut their teeth in Northrend. These are not the people who knew exactly what they're doing and came here with hardware and material and backing and resources and discipline. A lot of these, we'll actually find out later, so this is skipping ahead a little bit. A lot of these people are literally prisoners who were granted a pardon to go fight in the army. Yeah. Heek is a monster. If his superiors knew, they would thank the Horde for ending him.
May your blades
I'll
never
take your word
dull.
for it. Hearing him scream like one of his victims is enough for me. Now leave me be. I do not want to be a burden to my
Be
clan.
safe.
Yeah, there's a tidbit in Legion, which is irritating to me, because it turned what should have been a tragedy and a great moment into an HVA thing. And I can't even begin to put into words how much that just made me roll my eyes. And the devs did that on purpose, 100%. They're trying to feed into the HVA team thing. You could see this at their BlizzCons too. There'd be this whole thing. Oh, who's for the Horde? Who's for the Alliance? Woo! You know. I'm not going to spoil it because it is absolutely a spoiler. But oh, that pissed me off. That is a great cutscene that'll get a negative. I mean, it'll also get positives, but you get my point. But yes. South Barrens
McGraw, strength.
is already its own thing.
What do
Let's
you
go ahead and
need
give these
for
people
the
some
Horde?
weapons.
Speak, friend. Go forth
Farming
to
some
victory.
warriors here. Don't mind me. We grunts were ordered to charge once more into a wall of pikes. I could not do it, Shaman. My weapon slid from my hands and my legs did not move. Jesus
May your
Christ.
blades never dull. Go forth to victory. Strength. For the Horde.
Yes, you did, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. We're past Stone Town. I should give that a negative, speaking of which. If I didn't already. Yep, I actually already did. Oh yeah, no, there's a reason I call this the Quagmire.
Thrall Hall. Be safe.
From up here, I got the perfect view of the havoc you just caused. Our lost brothers reclaiming some of their dignity, and the Alliance dogs sent scrambling. Excellent work. If the Alliance sleeps comfortably at night, we are not doing our job. We will never give up. We will never give in.
May your blades never dull.
Yeah, if you wanted to develop a PC protagonist, this is a good stone to do it in. Especially an Orc or a Tauren.
Well met.
Of course I did. I even referenced it, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton.
May the eternal sun shine.
So the Alliance is probing the twists and turns of the high road. Even if they were to map it out, they couldn't attack the hills in numbers. This is our land. They will pay dearly for presuming otherwise.
Goodbye. Go in peace.
I don't have a take on it? I mean, the writers weren't coordinating with each other, and that was the problem. That's it. There's not much to add to that. This is a problem across all of Cata, really. Is it out of character? 100%. That is not Garrash Hellscream. It is a story arc they never actually followed through on. Could have been in character if they did follow through on it, but they didn't, so it is out of character. It is a negative. We are besieged here, and between the chasm and the harassment of the Alliance, we are short on supplies. We make do with what we have on hand, as we Tauren always have. In the absence of a forge, a skilled leatherworker can strengthen and patch up our damaged armor with good quality hides. Okay.
Goodbye. May
Ugh.
the eternal sun shine upon thee.
Yeah, if Varrock was doing that, you wouldn't have to change anything in the cutscene. And I mean, honestly, you could also just make it us, like we already suggested. Just have that be us. Remember, we personally went and proved that there were no weapons of mass destruction, that the general what's-his-face was being a dick. So we come back and they're deploying the bomb without our consent, and it's like, oh, okay. And then there's this fight with him, and he's like, no, please, and we kick him over the edge. Boom. You are dismissed.
Be careful.
And yeah, we just keep the whole thing under wraps from Garrosh. It would not be the last time that the player characters actually conspire against Hellscream without his knowing.
Go with honor. Strength.
How did we lose honor stand? It was a clever ruse. Alliance forces streamed out of Northwatch and marched up the Gold Road, besieging Crossroad as dusk fell. Then, in the heart of the night, they force-marched southward, leaving their campfires burning. Our meager forces at honor stand were caught unawares as the Alliance poured through the pass at dawn's first light. This is before the Cataclysm? Yes, we regrouped east of the pass and prepared a counterattack. The next day, the sky reddened and the land was cleaved in two, as easily as a child might split open a cactus apple. See how the devastation stretches from horizon to horizon. Our Alliance foes in their makeshift bunkers were as surprised and disorganized as we were by the disaster. They would have been the perfect time to strike, but Warlord Gardul insisted we pull back to the south to refortify. Puh. Not all of us followed. I stood toe-to-toe with demons in the last war. I'm not about to turn tail and let the Alliance plant roots in my soil. Yes, we stayed behind to fight. And to die? Likely. But we will give them no ground. We are outnumbered, our armor's patchwork, our weapons scavenged, but this is our land. Tauran allies know every hidden trail, crevice, and pass through these hills. We descend from the high ground where they least expect us and disappear like phantoms.
For the Horde. Go for.
You see the trail below us?
Victory.
That is my trail. And if the Alliance dogs choose to use my trail, they best be looking over their shoulder. Time to collect my toll. Slay the foot soldiers and see if we can't send them scurrying back to their walls. Be sure to take out at least one of their officers. They need to realize no one is safe.
Strength.
Yeah, that guy, by statement of his definition, is someone who was fighting during the Third War. I'm a shaman who's elemental. Yeah, I've been thinking about, for the Warcraft rewrite, as weird as this sounds, whether or not the player characters should actually be characters or not. Because if they are characters, then they're going to be characters. I'm not going to go with the avatar route. That's silly. It is very much all or none. And if they're characters, I'll probably go with one per class rather than one per spec. 38 or whatever characters is a hell of a cast list for just main cast. Now these are Honor Stands footmen. So whether they were originally from Theramore or not is up to you, really. They've had a lot of reinforcements from across the sea. And remember, a lot of these are the people who have been poured into the South Barrens from Stormwind directly. Yeah, I'd probably line it up so there's at least one representative of each race. I mean, all these people report to Stormwind, but yes. Like, Theramore isn't a polity right now. Not really. It's nothing more than an outpost of the Alliance. Remember, the main conflict here, I feel like I'm repeating myself, is entirely centered around setting up a road to and through the South Barrens. They're trying to connect a highway to the Night Elves to the north and Theramore to the east, so that they can have one solid pipeline between their two ports on Kalimdor. Which isn't as crazy as you think it is, because, you know, there's Theramore right there. You can actually see the highway bisecting into the middle. And then up here is the Night Elven forces. So such a highway only has to go, like, here in order to actually properly accomplish its objective. However, that is of course why the Horde cannot allow that to happen. That being said, Miss Proudmoore is such a non-character in Cata. In fact, I'm not sure she has any presence in Cata at all. classic variant, weirdly enough. So I don't know what she'd think of all this, really. The last we saw of her, in Wrath, she was desperately trying to prevent all of this from escalating. That didn't work. Oh, gosh. Okay, so we only have the one time skip after this point, and we actually have a time jump with Warlords. So, hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 9, 10. So, as of now, this is about 10 years ago in lore. The bundle of papers was found in a leather satchel hidden under an officer's clothes. Battle maps of the region depict Honor's stand, connected to what appears to be a large, unfinished road. Hey! Connecting all the way to Theramore. Looks like the Alliance plans to build a road from the coast straight to the heart of Kalimdor. And yeah, she's not a part of any of this until Pandaria. Or more accurately, the Pandaria launch event, aka what I personally consider to be the worst launch event in the history of the entire franchise. Don't mistake me, there's arguably, like, less involved launch events. For example, BC's launch event was just, hey, this raid boss is showing up and attacking Stormwind. Ooh. And that was it. Like, it was just such a nothing burger. But I'll take that over Pandaria's. Pandaria's launch event was 2 scenarios, one on both sides. That's it. I will never forget how deflating that felt. I had convinced PAX to come back to the game, because remember, everybody quit during Kata. And he came back, we fired up, you know, he'd resubbed for the launch event. I was like, alright, let's go do these new scenarios. Well, we did them and they were really fun, and then we finished them in like, God, 30 minutes? Like, it was not long. It's like, that's it? That's your pre-launch event? He almost quit again on the spot, and I was like, dude, no, you already got the month. He's like, okay, fine. And then we hit Jade Forest.
Blood and thunder. Champion, come to Gromash Hold when you are able. I have something important to discuss. Strength.
Kilrock pages through the plans you discovered. Well, this explains much. No wonder our foes are so hell-bent on taking the southern Barrens. It's at the center of their plans for the continent. But they didn't account for us, did they?
Go with honor.
These maps have all been drawn by the same steady hand. I've seen a human surveyor heading up and down the road between the hold and the jungle. We can set their plans back by making an example of this surveyor. How do you even say that? Zykes? Even human names sound thin and weak.
Go for
Humans are so filthy and disgusting, they must all die. So, Blade Terrell asks, humans are pathetic. How do you score builds and kit for multiple classes in games where it's impractical to actually play each class? For example, in a Dragon Age game, you need to play through a large part of the game to unlock the majority of kits and builds. So the short answer is that I don't. In a similar fashion to how I tend to review all the content, even if you're not going to be doing all the content, I review all the classes, even if you're not going to play all the classes. I mean, when we get to FF5, most people are not going to try out all of the different classes in that game, but we're still going to cover all of them, right? Similarly, in this game, we're also going to be covering all these classes. Obviously, I have put a lot of thought and effort and work into figuring out exactly how to do that, which is why we keep bouncing around characters. Because all these classes exist and therefore deserve to be wanted as far as review goes. It's the same thing in FF14, really. How many people have leveled every class in FF14 like I have?
Loktar.
How do I turn out many positives and negatives? I don't understand the question, I think. You mind clarifying?
Dabu.
Good, good. We've got to keep Understand isolated, alone, afraid. Keep up the pressure, maybe someday they'll simply surrender the pass. Yeah, I wouldn't bet on that.
For the Horde.
Greetings. Goodbye.
Yes, I can work with these. You work fast. These hides will keep us holding out for reinforcements longer. Thank you. You're welcome.
Go
Give me
in
my gear. Is there anything over here I actually want? Anything at all? Nope. I don't want a single one of these frickin' spells. Talents. Wow, that is not a great tree. Oh! That was my hip. Okay, well, let's get Lightning Lasso. And that will go... That should not be here. Yes, I have actually done the battle for the battle for the Echo Isles. I actually talked about that earlier. Where is it? There it is. Don't worry, it's been a while. I talked about that more when we were doing the troll stuff. I did that and Operation Nomergon. Kata actually had a pretty solid launch event. Technically, I enjoyed Wraths more, but Kata's was better. No worries, Bregman.
I've been expecting you. Go in peace.
Years ago, the Grim Totem raided my village. The pain, the anger, the loss still weigh heavy on my heart. Now I find myself giving comfort and aid to others who have lost their village to a savage attack. So my sister recognized the old signals. Her hunter's eyes are as sharp as ever. When we first set up this camp, we were at the edge of the jungle. Now look at it. Something is amiss. Yeah, this jungle is growing a little bit too fast.
Be careful.
One moment.
Walk with the Earth Mother. May the
Not everyone who fled Taurajo was able to make it to Unafe. Some died of wounds on the way, others were jumped by opportunistic Quillbore. I'll take care of the grim task of finding and gathering the bodies. But there is something you can do for me. Ecclefang scavengers prowl the lands and are savaging the corpses, tearing at their bowels and dragging away the limbs of the dead. Please thin their numbers so I can perform proper funerary rites.
We shall meet again.
When the refugees fled north from Taurajo, some were separated as darkness closed in. Many were taken prisoner by the bristleback Quillbore, who set up camp west and southwest of here. I'm not certain what the Quillbore hope to get from capturing our refugees. All they have earned is my ire, and all they'll get is my vengeance.
Go in peace.
This camp was built at the edge of the jungle, and already it's overwhelmed by plant growth. Something unnatural is happening here. Earlier I made the mistake of sending some of the healthier refugees to gather nuts and berries. Those that returned are talking about the plant life actually grasping at their legs and picking them up. I worry about those who haven't come back yet.
Walk with the Earth Mother.
Nice place. This is what you get when you have rampant overgrowth right here. Remember, nature is not good. Nature is neutral. Nature does not care about you. Nature probably doesn't even notice you exist. You'll only be able to play one class in your review playthrough. How do you review the other classes knowing their kit doesn't come online until 20 or 30 hours out? So the obvious answer to something like, say, Dragon Age Origins is experience, right? And obviously PFRs. The good news is with a game like, and I will use Dragon Age Origins as a specific example, Dragon Age Origins, it's pretty easy to be able to experience all of the classes there because Dragon Age Origins is a game where you have a party. Is that on my G button? Sorry. You actually can't chromie time past 67, technically. Like, if you were 68 and go to chromie time, you can't. Correct, Lictable. However, let's use a hypothetical. Let's say party members don't exist, and it's a game like Inquisition or Origins or whatever, and they've got all those classes and all those options. There's no good way to review that, to be blunt. The best I could do is like a surface level overview of maybe lobby level stuff. You know, like imagine covering Two-Handed Warrior for like 10-20 minutes early on, right? Yeah, maybe just look at the skill tree, spend some time basically doing this, and like, okay, this does this, this does this, this does this, and just essentially just doing my best. Because, as I just mentioned, there really is no winning option there. It's just, well... So, I just tried that not too long ago, Secret Boss Fight, and I think this patch they got rid of that. However, in the interest of testing it out, this will only take me like a minute. I'll spend more time locking out than I will do anything else. Because, yeah, the problem is there's really no way to properly review some games without just really... we'll go on you. Really spending way more time on it than I feel is worth doing, you know? Again, PFR gets into play there. Let me use an example. Let's say someone's like, hey, review Path of Exile. How the hell do I review Path of Exile's build and kit, right? Like, that's insanity. There's no real feasible way to do that. And yeah, again, FF14, if I wasn't already leveling all the jobs off camera. Or hell, imagine if we just played one character in WoW. Thankfully, in WoW's case, we can just split up the content amongst all the different characters, so that's fine. So, as you can see, Chromie actually says nothing. She has no dialogue options whatsoever. You'll notice I'm not even max level, I'm only 76 here. This is what happens when you hit level 68 and onwards.
It's like meeting again for the first time.
Yeah, forgive me for being so thorough about this, but I've actually been doing a lot of tech tests during this review of exactly how Chromie time works. 68 is the moment you lose access to Chromie time, or rather, lose access to accessing it. However, you can still stay in the current Chromie time you're in until 71, but you cannot change it unless you go back to town, in which case it automatically kicks you back out at 70. So 68, 70, and 71 is your set points there. We'll go ahead and grab Ascendance. I've been meaning to pick that up anyways. So you're probably wondering, what's Ascendance? Well, this is me now. Oh, he died. Yep, the type of elemental you turn into is based on your spec, I believe. Yeah, they look a lot better. So, when you transform as an elementalist, you immediately cast Flame Shock and Lava Burst at 6 nearby enemies. While ascended, your damage is increased by 1.5 times, and all spells affected by Elemental Overlord cast another Elemental Overlord.
Greetings.
Anyways, to answer your question, Secret Boss Fight, the reason I don't do time walking at 80 is that. Also notice we're back out at the Savannah, because this is mostly just the Barrens again here. Don't worry, I swear we have more to do than just the Barrens again. I'd say yes, Mr. Slade Pinkerton. Most specifically during Vanilla, and arguably during BC as well. As I've said a few times, I'm not really an MMO player. Or at least what I'm now defining as MMOs. So that's just not my thing. I like video games. Oh my god. What's interesting to me is that probably the only time the "you are not prepared" line actually made sense was in BC. Go figure. Now in Legion they'll overuse that line a little bit, but in BC it was an appropriate application. What about Kael'thas's lines went to Ragnaros? Hey, Gnas. I didn't recall any of those lines being Kael'thas, but I believe you. Yeah, we're making, honestly, a little bit slower progress than I would like. We got slowed down a lot by both the North Barrens and Ashenvale.
Hail. Winds
So it is done. Normally these scavengers are part of the Earth Mother's cycle of life. But on the heels of the devastation racked by the Alliance and the Cataclysm, the numbers grow overwhelming. It's good to thin them out.
Be careful.
Bad enough we have one village sacked, but to spend the following night in a Quillbore cage? I'm glad you were there to help.
Walk with the earth.
The Quillbore are attacking because they perceive weakness. Strength is the only language they understand, so we will show them strength. This is admittedly crude work, but it'll do. Bristleback leaders use horns, like these, to challenge one another for dominance. One should challenge the Bristleback champion to a single combat.
Go in
I can do that.
Hail.
The children you see here were all rescued from Taurajo when the fighting started. I'm trying to track down their parents. One of the refugees you rescued from the Quillbore recognized the strongest child as belonging to Kurge and Marwe. Moreover, said Kurge was camped in the Fields of Blood. Please go there and tell them his child is alive and well.
May the eternal sun shine.
Thank you, but on to the larger question. Where's the overgrowth coming from, and why is it raging out of control?
Winds be at your back. Ancestors watch over you.
We'll save those quests for later. Throat's doing fine. I feel miserable, though, Evo. As is my wont. Does the game still omit critical story points to novels? That's an interesting question. I gotta actually think about it in my head as to the last time I feel like they really did that. Oh no, it's the Borpocalypse! Yeah, I was about to say Warlords is probably the last time that a major plot point was actually concealed in the books. Which is funny because it's a terrible book. It's probably the single worst Warcraft book ever made.
How? May the eternal
He attacked you with a dozen boars? I guess Quillbore have their own means of what single combat means. Still, the bristleback will be left reeling after the blow you delivered. It'll not be long before a new champion rises to stir up trouble, but at least this buys us time to get the refugees located. Relocated.
We shall meet again.
No, the game explained all of the plot points of war crimes. In Nagrand, actually. There's a Chromie quest that goes into it. Probably not, Mr. Floyd. He's been one of the more consistently good characters for quite a while now. As in, good aligned. Obviously, he's an interesting character. Yeah, no, I think Warlords was the last time they really locked something behind the books. Like, there was a book about the flights of the dragon flights. Yeah, the War of the Scaleborn. But, like, I haven't read that book. I don't know the elements of it, and I don't feel like I've particularly missed anything out on that. Similarly, there was a book called Illidan, which led into Legion, but again, none of that was really necessary to understand what was going on in Legion. None of that was really, you know, double-dipping, which is the important part. There was that terrible Shadowlands book, or no, sorry, BFA book. I'm trying to remember, there's like Approaching Storm or something like that. That book sucked, but once again, didn't convey anything of any real note or purpose. Other than, hey, did you know that Sylvanas is evil? I was also when Kalia died, but again, not much of a plot point there. Yeah, I think that's pretty much the list. There was a book that explained the PC's lust for power. Alive. My boy still lives. Praise the Earth Mother. I still have a son. Shaman, my boy's mother didn't make it out of Taurajo alive. I will avenge her death, even if it means my son grows up without either of her parents.
Walk with
The Alliance scorches a trail of murder across the Barrens. We must stop them here or there's nothing left for us. Across the Fields of Blood there are a number of strategic hills, marked by wooden towers and neutral gray banners. We must take hold of these hills if we hope to slow the Alliance advance.
Go in peace.
Yeah, I've always kind of quietly wondered, what exactly is the Alliance's plan for things like Thunder Bluff? We know that Raytheon was planning for a military occupation of Orgrimmar and Thunder Bluff, but like... Is that it? Is that like the goal? To establish the internment camps again?
Loktar!
Our defense of the Barrens hasn't gone well under Gardul's command. Garrosh sent Warlord Bloodhill to take control of the situation, and he's in the camp. If you want to make a good impression, You'll demonstrate good initiative. Head east to the Bloodfields, and bring me the new warlord a stack of their merit badges.
For the Horde.
Well met.
If you seek vengeance on our Alliance invaders, you would do well to observe the fiercest predators of the Barrens. The lions that stalk amongst the tall grass do so with cunning, stealth, and power. Learn from their example, and you'll understand the kind of war we need to fight. Okay.
Walk with the Earth Mother.
Yeah, there's an admiral in Pandaria and Legion whose main goal is just to kill Horde. Just kill. There's no other goal there, right? Oh yeah, I kind of showed this off earlier. So there's Mulgore. So here's the Great Wall, in order to try and keep Mulgore defended from the Alliance. And as you can see, the Alliance are actively besieging it. Anyways, to answer whoever's question that was, no, I don't think there's any Warcraft book I would say is really good. There are two I found tolerable. That would be Arthus and Illidan, if you're wondering. Yeah, she was a character. She was a card. Not a particularly pleasant one. Her excuse is she used to live in Hillsbrad, by the way. You know, I don't remember Yura. I've even looked into that film, but I don't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry. I failed you, Yura. I do know they were completely lining up to make a second movie. And then that didn't materialize. And at this point, never will. Everyone's moved on. Curious. What was her name? Someone help me look up her name, would you? Please? The Admiral in Pandaria. And also Legion. Rogers. Has she poked her head back in? Probably not. They've walked away from the HVA thing so hard that all of the mainliners are probably dead at this point. All the people who are really pushing for war. So, I forgot about this. Rogers is actually in Before the Storm. Anduin asked Rogers how she would feel if any of her family members had become forsaken. Her response is that her loved ones are dead, and she would loathe to see them as undead monsters. Greymane agreed the Forsaken are monsters and the Alliance shouldn't embrace what they've become. That is incredibly racist, in addition to being, like, actively wrong. Like, I know the Alliance tend to be, pro-pretty races, but that is shockingly wrong. Wow. Let's go ahead and grab this point here. Don't mind me. Yeah, some people wonder why people are willing to adhere to Sylvanas despite the fact that she is an evil, horrible person. The alternative is trying to go home to your loved ones, and your loved ones being like, "Oh my God, you're an undead monster. Get away from me. You don't deserve to even exist." And then trying to kill you. Cool. A small lore point that they didn't really flesh out until, I believe, the Chronicles book, was that the Forsaken and Sylvanas originally reached out to the Alliance. And the Alliance were like, "Ew, undead," and that was the end of that. And yes, I do blame them for that. Thank you for asking. Yeah, it's actually worse than what I'm making it out to be. Whole thing was a mess. That would be funny. Like, imagine there's one last HVA plot, and it's just to kill off the last of them.
What brings you
So
here?
you held your ground. With tenacity like yours, we may yet drive the Alliance from our lands. Yeah, I wouldn't bet on that, really.
Ancestors watch over you. Makra,
You look like the type of shaman who gets things done. What news do you have from the field?
be safe.
Huh. This is what I like to see, shaman. What's your name again? We'll go far here.
Strength.
Eindanux, you have proven yourself on the fields of blood, but the Alliance still threatens our Tauran friends. The siege machinery outside the gates of Mulgore is like a spear aimed at our heart. I want you to go to the gates south of here and remove those siege vehicles from play. Here, use these sticky bombs. It looks as though they're stuffed explosive powder into grease-covered socks, but they'll do.
Go forth to victory.
What brings you here?
Ah, yes, I see a cunning in your eyes that was not there before. Well
Be
done.
careful.
Is it really? Am I more cunning now? Is that actually a thing? Can I help you? Now that you're both dead. Idiots. Cat's a little buggy. I don't know why they're aggroing me. I'm just a wolf. He's knocking over their siege engines. Yeah, there was... God, they had several war fronts planned. There's going to be an Ashara one. There's going to be the South Barrens one. Which makes sense, you know, given that this is such a primary focal point for war. I don't actually remember what else. They had several.
What do you need?
Why did Gardul allow the Alliance to create such a buildup of heavy siege vehicles? Why wasn't a strike ordered until I got here? Gardul will have to answer for this.
Be safe.
Very good. Now, should they storm the gates, they'll have to do so with infantry. Do you think they have the stomach for that? Eh.
For the whole.
Outstanding. Outstanding work at the gates. The main body of the Alliance force is in general retreat, but I am not satisfied. They sacked Taurajo, which is little more than a hunter's camp. This Alliance is unmasked at last for what it really is, a renegade band of butchers. Even now, a group of humans linger behind to pick at the bones of smoldering Taurajo. Make them suffer.
Go forth to victory.
How may I aid
With the
you?
immediate threat gone, can you help with some grim business? We do not bury our dead. We prepare the body for return to the elements and place it at our sacred grave sites. Those killed in Taurajo massacre have no funeral, and I worry misguided Alliance soldiers will burn the bodies of the dead before the proper rites have been performed. Please take this totem to provide services for these named NPCs who are actually from Vanilla.
Be careful.
Yeah, Taurajo was a common talking point for a very long time. Again, part of that whole your side sucks, no, your side sucks kind of a discussion we talked about earlier. Having said that, allow me to rather firmly state that Taurajo was not an acceptable military target. Even though they did it properly, or at least attempted to do it properly. This was not an... no. You don't start bombing cities in war. Like, they even say it in the dialogue just there. This was a hunter's camp. Now, there's a couple of other niggles here. For example, were the Alliance a bunch of mass murderers? Well, no, of course not. I've already given away one of the major things here. You see these looters who are just picking over this place? Yeah, these are literal criminals. I like how the Flight Master, his ghost leaves on a wyvern. That's just a nice touch. We'll see this guy later. But the Alliance shouldn't have attacked this place and should have kept control of their own forces. However, the goal was to try and warn them, hey, we're about to attack you, and claim this spot, and allow the people to actually organize a retreat. No, I'm saying that wrong. They were going to attack and leave a specific vector open for people to retreat. That's what it was. The troops that moved in were mostly criminals released from the stockades who had no real discipline to speak of and were not under the control of their commander. Which, to be clear, I do still blame the commander on. They're your troops. But the point being is this is not... The whole point of the South Barrens, and one of the reasons I really like the South Barrens, is because it's well written. This is an interesting and nuanced situation where everything was just going wrong for everyone involved despite everyone's best interests in the matter. Surrounded the camp. What are they doing? Why are they attacking Taurajo? Get the children. Run. Run. Yeah, exactly. The South Barrens is a mess, but a well-written mess. Feel the embrace of all living things, the Earth Mother's eternal peace. Thank you. Yeah, look, I'm sure you're really proud of your cannon, which is up here, right there, in fact. But there's the cannon over here. Here's Stormwind. Good freaking luck making that shot. Like, that's literally an ICBM at that point. I mean, this is WoW. A lot of the visuals of the game were designed. I ran to wake the others when the attack hit. Were they able to escape? I tried to fight off the soldiers with a skinning knife. And he died for it. I mean, they get run over, Triax. Are you kidding me?
Greetings.
Have their spirits found peace?
Goodbye.
Thank you.
May the eternal sun shine above you.
Excellent. I'll have their bodies strung up along the Gold Road as a message to the Alliance.
Strength.
Thanks to you, the immediate threat is over, but my work here in the Barrens is only beginning. Honor Stand was captured and Taurajo sacked while Warlord Gardul was in charge of the region. The war chief sent me to clean up this mess. I'd like you to ride to Desolation Hold in advance of me. Let Gardul know it's time for a reckoning.
May your blades never dull. Be safe.
I mean, honestly, the less we listen to that asshole, the better, am I right? He was never a good writer to begin with. And he's a terrible human being, so we're good, you know? Just eject him from things and we're fine. Apparently muted. In fact, we can actually point to the exact spot that is the biggest... Let's call it the focal point of the quagmire. Everything else spirals around this one thing. So that would be this. This is the front line, right here. Horde and Alliance forces constantly being fed into what is effectively a trench warfare situation from World War I. It's not actually trenches, but it's the same general concept. You've got an Alliance fortification barely built right there. A Horde fortification, just kind of thrown together over there. Alliance get reinforcements from that direction. Horde get reinforcements from that direction. And yeah, both of them just pour resources and people into this no man's land. I will give them credit. It certainly looks like a no man's land. I'm pretty sure the ground being screwed up like this was the Cataclysm, but it wouldn't surprise me if it was the war. These people have been fighting for months at this point. Possibly longer.
Strength and honor.
I'm here on behalf of Warlord Bloodhilt. Warlord Bloodhilt? Garrosh's pet? No need for him to be here, as you can see. Tell him I have the situation well in hand. I'll be sure to tell the Taurajo refugees that. Those that lived. But supplies have been tight. Got manpower shortage. Tell Bloodhilt that...
For the Horde! Zug Zug. Strength!
Yeah, look, let's not discuss this here in front of the men.
Dabu.
When Bloodhilt arrives, I'd like to talk in private. Can you accompany me to make sure things stay on the level? He's a loose cannon. Maybe atop the North Tower. We'll talk to Bloodhilt together.
Victory.
Sure. That sounds very above board. Twilight's Hammer and the Legion both benefited, obviously. And I guess technically the Scourge as well. Not that they're really a functioning power anymore. Remember, the spark that ignited the war was done by the Twilight's Hammer. Thank you for coming here, Anganux. I trust you will defer to my authority in this matter. So this is where you're hiding, Gardul. Listen, Bloodhilt, I've reinforced our grip on the Barrens. You cower behind your walls. If it wasn't for Eindunux, the Alliance would be marching through Mulgar. They've got reinforcements from the Eastern Kingdoms. I've been cut off. Your excuses sicken me. Consider yourself relieved of command. Relieved? Over my dead body. Yeah, Garrosh also benefited from it because it solidified his hold on power. Wait. I yield. Yield? You yield? What part of victory or death don't you understand? Garrosh's horde does not tolerate failure. Meet me down below. We'll discuss our upcoming counterattack. We've just learned a little something about the inner workings of the Horde High Command. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, no, Garrosh is very, very much the kind of person who is totally cool with weakening his own forces if it means the forces he actually likes more are the ones in charge. Yeah, that's that. There's that whole racism thing, too. Because Garrosh is severely orc supremacist. The Silithid. They're bugs, or something like bugs. They're not natural. We built a fortress on the equivalent of an anthill. Here, take this burning pitch. They'll set the buggers on fire and plug up their burrows at the same time. Be careful when you pour this stuff on there. The Silithid will come out in swarms. Look for the mounds around the exterior of the hold. They look like heaps of sand. Kill anything that crawls out.
Strength.
Exactly, that's where I start. And yeah, to answer Ganas's question, those are both Garrosh loyalists that just fought, and one of them died there.
Peace, friend.
The Alliance has hired Wildhammer mercenaries to control the skies over the battle scar. I believe the same Griffin Riders were the ones who firebombed Taurajo during the attack. I want our skies scoured clean. The Wildhammer dwarves fly low enough for a sharp-eyed shaman to hook them to the ground.
Goodbye.
See, the funny thing is, Garrosh is so stupid, it's entirely possible that all these things were working in his benefit, without him intending them to. Like, Garrosh is an idiot. There's no two ways about that. So it's far more likely that he just, by virtue of how he dealt with people, engendered that type of person. You know what I mean? I'm saying this wrong. Let me put it to you another way. Let's say there was someone... Oh, God. Yes, Elizar. Wait, no, he wouldn't, because Trump's a human. Let's say that... Let's say that there's two loyal minions of Garrosh. One of them is smart and intelligent and long-term thinking. The other one is not. The other one is an idiot, short-term warmonger like Garrosh. The short-term warmonger rushes out, loses half his troops on attacking the nearby outpost, but kills a whole bunch of Alliance scum there, and manages to claim the outpost. For now. They can't hold it because they lost the troops, but they claimed the outpost. The other person was like, no, we shouldn't do that. We should wait until we can do this properly and go in with a plan of action. Garrosh is the kind of person who would then look at the former person, the idiot, and say, that's amazing. You're promoted. And so a lot of the people who rise up through the ranks of the Hellscream forces command structure are people who think like him, or perhaps more accurately, who don't think like him. I put that pause there to make that clear. Because, yeah, no, there's... I don't think he was deliberately cultivating a power base. I think he was unintentionally cultivating a power base simply by being himself. And by being the guy in charge.
I'm listening.
I've always wanted to try making an abomination. It looks simple enough, but you know how it is when you learn things from a book. There's no substitute for doing. Ugh. First, I'm gonna need parts. Lots of parts. Doesn't need to be picky. Human, orc, doesn't matter. Parts is parts. Just be sure the corpses you harvest come from the battle scar, so I know they're fresh. He presses a rusted, gore-covered bone saw into your hands and smiles disarmingly.
Our time will come.
Okay. Oh, God. Yeah, if you pay attention, most of the individual orcs who support Garrosh, who are green orcs, are young ones. Orcs who weren't around for the demonic horde. People like Varrock, who actually were a part of that conflict, are like, nope. Just look at the two sisters in Grizzly Hills, for example. Garrosh also likes people who lick his boots, which is funny because he values advisors and feedback consistently. In fact, he usually takes their ideas as his own, because, you know, the whole lack of core thing I've talked about a few times. Go away. But because of everything else, most of the people who are willing to give him advice just say, yes, you're right. Or, you should do what you're currently doing, but even worse. In fact, if you pay attention to the timeline, Garrosh is already a warmongering idiot in Kata. He gets a lot worse in Pandaria. And which two people join his retinue in between Kata and Pandaria? That's right, Malkarok and... I forget her name. And Zayla. Two of his biggest advisors. Huh.
Loktar,
The Alliance is nothing. Swarms of those critic crawlies? Ugh.
go forth to victory
Covered in hot tar and bug juice. Story friend. It'll come off someday.
for the Horde.
I've been on top of the Silithid situation for almost a month, which makes me the local expert. Just last week, the Earthen Ring was visiting and wanted me to write everything I know. He hands you a book. I'm not much of a writer, or a reader for that matter, but this book is probably the most definitive thing ever written about this foe. Okay.
May your blades never
Well,
dull.
Zayala was the reasonable one in Twilight Highlands, but yeah, she flipped her tune pretty fast. If I was War Chief, what would I put Garrosh in charge of? Absolutely nothing. Garrosh is charismatic. He's a populist. And he's a good warrior. He's actually one of the single strongest warriors in the setting. Like top 5-10 range easily. But that's it. That's it and that's all. He should be in charge of nothing.
Thrall Hall. For the Horde.
But hang on.
What do you need?
Now to the business of winning this war. Across the scattered terrain to the east, the Alliance hopes to build an overland link between their coastal strongholds. They think to build their fortress here, in the center of the Barrens. In the center of my Barrens. It will not stand.
Strength.
We have fought the Alliance to a standstill, even as the land beneath our feet falls apart. To the east, you'll find the Battle Scar, a wide swath of decimated terrain. It's little more than a line of the sand, but it's our line. In the center, you'll find a flag. Scout it. If it's already ours, capture it. Kill anyone you find.
Go forth to victory.
I am convinced the Alliance is using spies. Yeah? They knew to strike at Taurajo while the hunters were afield, and they countered every one of Gardul's moves like he was an open book. Well, I will not be outplayed. Not here. We win the battle for intelligence. Even now I hear reports of Alliance operatives slinking in the shadows.
Be safe.
Okay. Yeah, our Quagmire. Right. Yeah, I could see him being what you traditionally call a lieutenant. A lieutenant in military warfare is usually someone who's in charge of multiple squads, but that's it, like, say, 4 squads of people up in the front lines. Their job is to keep those squads coordinated, motivated, and not turning around and running. And that feels like Garrosh to me, right? Die, Alliance slime. You don't belong in this world. I will impale my enemies on the spires of Orgrimmar. It's an actual line he has. Patrick Seitz just nails Garrosh's voice acting so well. And yet, Zale, it was another consequence of the fact that they hadn't decided what they were doing with Garrosh as a character yet. I'd like to think that by the time they got to the later Cata stuff, they at least had an idea where they were going with him. They definitely didn't early on. I am missing about 500 mounts in this game, Elizar. I'm pretty sure ever since he first had a voice actor, which was Wrath, he had his own, it was Patrick Seitz, I think. Pretty sure. Don't quote me on that. He had a generic orc voice back in BC, but he didn't actually have a voice act. Nobody was voice acted back in BC. That's the problem there. Yeah, a lot of people were expecting Garrosh to turn it around, including Thrall himself. Yeah, Varian instead has his arc. What's funny is I don't mind Garrosh staying villainous. I'm biased because I like him as a villain, but I don't mind him staying as a villain. What I wish is that Varian had stayed a villain. Like, actually keep the Alliance as the bad guys, or at least show that they have more capacity to be something other than the good guys. You know? Like, have some layers there, instead of just Varian being like, I am the good king, who is wise and capable. I'm going to give military tactics to a 10,000-year-old military general who's been the military dictator of her military for 10 millennia and fought in the biggest war the setting has ever seen. But no. I'm going to school her. I love Pandaria to death, but I'm giving that scenario a negative. Or 3. Yeah, Varian has several qualities, sure. And Lord knows that Tyranda's kind of an idiot and the elves are kind of, you know, stagnant, but Varian, of all people, being able to school her in tactics is nonsense. He, like, where does his tactical knowledge even come from? Like, actually think about that for a second. No. Not that I'm aware of, Euro. Like, Varian is like, hey, I know all these tactical things. Okay, which wars have you fought in? I fought Hellscream's forces for a while. Yeah, but, like, their tactics are a move. And that's it. That's the only war he's ever fought in. He spent a decent chunk of his career as a king being Logosh. Now that would be interesting as Miristar. I wonder if they wanted that to be that way originally, and they were trying to do something with Varian instead, and just kind of flipped it as a consequence. See you around, Devo. Have fun, take care, or else. It does make me wonder. There was definitely an attempt to establish Varian as, like, the opposite to Garrosh in Pandaria. I mean, the name of the scenario is A Bit of Patience, for God's sakes. And Garrosh is well known for being an extremely impatient person. It reminds me of what they tried to do with Tyrion and failed at back in Wrath. You know, to artificially turn him into a foil character. Not that I'm aware of, Elizar, no. I'm curious why you think that. Yeah, they never actually did the Trials of the King thing. Like, I'm down for a good stagnant race, but come on. Quite frankly, the Protoss are a far more interesting and nuanced take on the stagnant ancient race thing than the Night Elves are. Like, the Protoss will throw down, you know what I mean? And they'll know what they're doing when they do it. Because Soul Perps and Mind Set was like Die Mal'Ganis, Die Dreadlord, I'll avenge my people. Okay, so that has nothing to do with him A-moving. In fact, he never A-moved, so I'm not sure where that's coming from. That's a good point, Gnos. The Protoss also adapted. That's a good point, Esmeristar. A lot of people forget the Protoss actually have a fairly strong warrior culture, too. And multiple distinct cultural groups within them, I just realized. Right, let's go build our A-bomb, shall we?
What now?
Do you mean the parts? Let me see them.
Goodbye.
He peers into the sack of extremities and licks his lips with a dry black tongue. Oh, this is exciting. Aren't you excited? These parts are so lovely. Muscle and sinew and fingers and toes. Oh, I'm so hungry right now. But work must come first. Once I stitch this pile of parts together, I'm going to need a heart strong enough to pump sludge through this rat's nest of veins. I'd use my own heart, but it's a shriveled up husk resembling a turnip. No, I need real power. Give me a Kodo heart.
Victory for Sylvanas.
You want to power an A-bomb with a Kodo heart. Okay.
Speak, friend. May your blades
Excellent.
never
You're
dull.
my kind of shaman. With your help, we'll throw these invaders back to the sea.
Go forth to victory. Strength.
Fool didn't destroy the orders. Let's see what we can find.
Be safe.
The operatives had orders to secure the roadways between the Alliance Command and Fort Triumph. Colonel Hawthorne's on the move. It's him. Hawthorne. I spit on the name. He is the one who ordered the assault on Taurajo. Now we know where to strike. Quickly, up the road. Find my assassin and crush Hawthorne. String up his body.
For the Horde.
Yep, let's go kill Hawthorne. He's definitely a horrible human being. Yep.
Hail.
Ancestors watch over you.
Vengeance feels hollow. Still, I could not let them go unpunished.
Farewell.
My people are not wrathful by nature, but sometimes a thirst for justice gives us cause to take up arms. My old friend Gan Stormspire, on learning the butchery of Taurajo, flew into a fury. Tribal elders could no longer hold his rage in check. Now he's all but parted ways with the Horde. He's gone rogue, and seeks to lash out to the Alliance with small bands of like-minded partisans. There's some more, good writing, by the way. As things get worse and worse, especially in the Quagmire, individual groups of people who aren't actually part of the Alliance or Horde are just striking out at the other guy. Mostly in anger. I have no idea, Lord Hermont, to both questions.
What do you need?
Slow down, friend. You see the general's coming? Now there's a trophy for my wall. I'll distract the guards, but you'll have to kill General Hawthorne himself.
May your blades never dull.
Alright, there he is. The Butcher of Taurajo. He says something. I'm not sure what he's saying. Ugh, I can't speak their terrible, terrible language. The Butcher of Taurajo is dead. We'll string his body up from the trees and leave him swinging in the wind for the Alliance to discover. Go back and tell Warlord Bloodhild the news. What's with that giant sword in the background? Yeah, I wouldn't worry about it.
Thrallhall.
Upon hearing the news, he snorts, his eyes gleam, and his head tips back and bellows a wet, cackling laugh. So it is done. The Butcher of Taurajo is felled at last. Cut down in the streets like a dog. Fitting. You've done well. You've sowed fear into our enemies, and soon we will reap the harvest.
For the Horde.
Canonically, for about a year, actually. This quagmire continues until the end of Pandaria, when the actual armistice is signed. In other words, if you're paying attention, nobody ever actually won the South Barrens. What sword, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton? Just about, Magister. Yeah, it's funny. The Horde is like, we need more resources. Quick, let's burn all those resources trying to get more resources. No, you've seen all there is to see, really, Elizar. Whoops, I'm in the wrong area. Like, I guess I don't understand your question. Are you asking me of the specific point-to-point strategies that Arthus used? Because that would be up to the player who's actually playing as him for that section.
What is it?
You gotta have heart. All you really need is heart.
Dark Lady.
He grasps the gigantic heart in both hands, squeezing it and listening to the valves slurp and squish. His pale mask of a face splits open into an enormous childlike grin. Ah, it's so very important to loved one's work, wouldn't you agree? He chucks the heart over his shoulder into a waist-high pile of entrails.
Trust no one.
My monstrosity is taking shape. All that's left is to stuff his skull with something useful. Talk about brains, and they're going to be picky. The abomification process causes significant brain damage, so it's best to start with someone smart. One of the Alliance officers should do nicely. Seek out one of the captains. Try not to damage the goods while you kill him.
Remember, patience.
Yeah, I've, as you might imagine, I, like everyone else in the entire universe, have studied World War II rather extensively, and one of my favorite tidbits is the paradox of what the Nazi regime was going for. It's like, well, okay. We want totalitarian control over resources, which means we need tons of resources, especially since we're not really full of a lot of those right now. Okay, so we need to burn all the resources we have on claiming new resources, which will immediately lead us to having a deficit of more resources, which means we have to continue conquering in order to gain more resources. Smarter people than me have done the math. He was pretty much always running at a deficit, overall. And it's like...
Speak quickly.
Brains. That's actually what he says. That's the quest text there.
Dark lady.
He holds the brain with an outstretched hand while withdrawing a gore-caked multi-tool. Wonderful work. Now the Secreters leave the reptilian nervous system intact while removing the higher cognitive functions. We can't have our new friend develop a conscious or remember these alliance. He digs and snips at the brain, removing large chunks. And we're finished. Lovely.
Victory for Sylvanas.
There's Gray's A-bomb. It's alive! It's alive! Go forth, my beautiful angel. Ah, it's so sad when one's children leave the nest, isn't it? Exactly. Red 36. Yeah, there's just... They seem closed-minded, yes. Because they're focused on one thing, yes. If being closed-minded and focused on one thing is all it takes for you to consider one person to be the same as another person, Eleazar, then I struggle to think of what you think of someone who's, like, say, putting themselves through their last year of college, for example. Of course, Mad Overlord. You wouldn't want an A-bomb to turn on you. That would suck.
What brings you here? May the eternal sun shine upon thee.
Is this from Krogol? Wonderful. Despite all the turmoil in the world, we can't turn our back on the Silithid threat. It's important to have people like Krogol studying our enemy closely. She opens the book and glances over the first page. Her face falls. Oh. Well, I suppose it's something at least.
Ancestors watch over you.
We'll deal with those quests later. We got one other thing to do first.
Greetings.
We could use your help, Shaman, but this is not a skirmish. We fight here to strike a killing blow or die trying.
Go in peace.
My wounds are great, but I will not rest until the dwarves of Baal Modan pay for their crimes. We smuggled a man inside the fortress during our last raid, a goblin saboteur named Weasel Slipshadow. Create a disruption at the gates, kill who you can, and slip into the fortress. That stronghold can only be destroyed from within, and Weasel cannot do it alone.
Be careful.
I remember this spot. You didn't do much with this in vanilla. That's with everything. That is a good question, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. And unfortunately, the answer is, don't think about it. Nope, don't think about it. Nope. Yep. Dwarven excavation of Tauran burial grounds. Yeah, the answer is the Shadowlands launch event was the Scourge invasion of the world. Which is extremely stupid. Like, they pretty much took that entire plot point and just threw it out the window. Like, yeah, no, we're done with this. And that's it. No, it's just, I guess the problem here, Eleazar, is I don't understand why you think they're the same. Like, I don't understand the base concept of your precept here. I need 5 more. I myself postulated back in Wrath, if they wanted to follow through on there, it must always be a Lich King. One of the ways they could have done so is maybe make it so that, you know, the forces of the rest of the world who have gone through some crap lately aren't really in a position to slow mode their way through the forces of the Scourge and, slowly put them down. And instead, I would have this entire plot point in the background be that, Third Lich King was very, very slowly ordering Scourge into, say, some area where the Argent Dawn is, where they would get destroyed, purified, and then their souls released from their imprisonment. And, just kind of siphon off the Scourge bit by bit to make them more manageable, Then, Sylvanas in her stupidity interrupts that, so the Scourge aren't completely removed from the case. And then what's left of them ends up charging out, and that's your launch event. Boom, there you go, done. Easy fix. But I understand that writing is not something they could have done during BFA or Shadowlands. So, forgive me for expecting too much of them. So here's his big disguise. Nobody would ever suspect.
I seen you around here before.
You did good work, Shaman. That riot you caused has these dwarves running around with their heads cut off.
Glad I could help.
I don't know if you noticed on your way in, but this whole fortress is around a giant cannon. We just find the ammunition magazine. We can blow this place sky high as easy as kiss my hand. But to figure it out, we need some schematics. I haven't been able to steal them yet. Look for the plans on the lowest floor.
Keep your ear to the ground.
Okay, I can do that. I mean, it could be Dragonflight in general. Dragonflight and War Within have been very, very strongly. We're just gonna move on, right? Like that's the overwhelming vibe is let's just move on. I don't really blame them for that either. So it's entirely possible they'll just completely abandon some of those plot threads and be like, yeah, we're done. We'll see. We'll see. And we are skipping off to the Undermine for some reason for the next patch. Yeah, just say Shadowlands doesn't exist. It's okay. We all want that anyways. We're with you, just this once. We'll give you a pass on this one retcon, Blizzard. Just get rid of Shadowlands. It's fine. Like, I'll be honest, in the Warcraft rewrite, I'm going to treat Shadowlands like one of those gimmies. Okay, I don't even have to acknowledge it as existing.
What's shaking?
Really, Auralia? That's funny. 5 years. Okay. Give me the plans quickly. Our time grows short. Mostly because I've been eating my disguise.
Have a good one.
Let's see. Looks like the artillery shells are prepped here. Loaded to the secured magazine. Alright. Ready to blow some stuff up.
Keep it real.
These dwarven artillery shells have a built-in airburst timer. This is easy. Sabotage one of the shells in the bay and boom. They'll find the shells in the loading bay. Once you got them rigged, run. Run like the wind. Report back to Gan. I'll be right behind you.
Go get him, champ.
I love the idea that Gan, who I remind you is here as a, what do they call this? Oh god, I can't think of what that's called. It's someone who isn't actually here on behalf of the military. He's just here to do what he wants to do, because screw it. No chain of command, no official support, no orders. I guess vigilante? Yeah, whatever. Anyways. And he got a goblin to work with him, because the goblin probably just said, oh man, I get to blow stuff up, sweet! No, a mercenary is hired. Do you see that random flying vehicle? It just went by. Yeah, there it is. That. Huh. I wonder what that's all about. Oh, there you go. Perfect, Lord Aramont. Did you see that? Ah, whatever. I wouldn't worry about it.
What brings you here?
Baeldun. Destroyed. Ah, Aindanux, my friend. You have avenged Taurajo and avenged the Taurans. The invaders will not soon recover from that blow. Thank you. You're welcome?
Goodbye.
We'll go with you're welcome.
The winds guide you.
And
We
that
shall
is our
meet.
go-to for Dustwallow. No, Sylvanas, she's dead. Ah, there you go. Whew. Yep, Taurajo and Baeldun both are knocked off the map because of this.
Hello. Have a good one.
Look around you, Druid. We've had no luck dislodging the Horde from this hidden trails in the Overlook Valley. They appear out of nowhere to ambush our supply caravans and then disappear into the hills. I need you to run the gauntlet to honor stand. Let them know the roads aren't safe. Talk to Mattingly, the supplies officer, and kill a few brutes on your way.
Safe travels.
Horde scouts hiding in the ruins, ambushing my supply train. Only 2 of my bodyguards made it out of here alive, and me? I used to have hair. Supplies I was delivering are scattered throughout the ruins. Gather them, make them to Janice Mattingly, please.
See you later.
Alright. Not, Magister. Not, wrong, bad. There's no Maw, because there's no Shadowlands. So I think what you meant to say was anything but that. Right? Yeah, there's no Maw, there's no Ranjit. Well, her soul was wherever the jailer was keeping it. He really just did have it on hand, if you remember. Well, I guess my problem, Ilizar, is I don't understand your question. Like... Okay. Let's talk this out, shall we? Arthus Menethil was egotistical, a bit of a showboat, very prideful, very prideful. He also, nevertheless, cared a huge amount about his people. As one of his biggest motivators was that he cared about ensuring peace and prosperity for his people no matter what. So when he finds out about the plague, he starts watching his own people being turned into, monsters in front of his eyes. He finds out that there's this horrible monster doing it. He says, all right, the only thing we can possibly do is deal with this. Now, as we have already discussed, so forgive me for not going fully in depth into this, there were other options at the culling of Stratholme. But to be honest, there weren't many. There were not a lot of other things that he could do there. So, he decided to kill his own people. That is the culling of Stratholme. That's the stain on his soul. And then immediately after that, he decides to... Mal'Ganis says, I will await you up north. So Arthur says, I'm going to go and find him. And at that point, it's pretty much all about vengeance. Maybe retribution might be a good way to put that. So he goes up north. He gets more and more and more focused on his revenge until finally he claims it, actually losing his soul in the process. At least that's the running theory. And in the doing, damns everyone around him. Cool. Let's look at Garrosh. So, Garrosh was a despondent orc who was told all his life that his father completely damned the orcish people for the rest of their lives by dealing with the most horrible thing that can possibly exist, which is demons. So, Garrosh then decides, okay, no problem. I'm going to do anything but that. He is revitalized by tales of his father being a great hero from Thrall. and decides, perfect, this is awesome. My dad was awesome in general, and I'm going to go ahead and move forward with that perspective in mind. Garrosh, however, has this really bad problem where he has no, what I like to call, core. There is no core to Garrosh. He doesn't really have a central sense of self. Instead, he tends to take other people's ideas and essentially adopt them as his own. So initially, he's surrounded by Cairn, Thrall, and Vol'jin, and he starts trying to become more and more of what they seem to be showcasing as what an orc should be. Shortly thereafter this, the Cataclysm hits, and all that's thrown out the window. Thrall has to leave because he's the most powerful shaman on the freaking planet. He's got work to do. That just leaves Vol'jin and Cairn. Okay. Garrosh listens to Cairn multiple times, actually. In fact, he almost does nothing but listen to his advisors consistently until the day he dies. So he listens to his advisors, and he tries to reach out and make peace with the Night Elves multiple times. All of these attempts fail for various reasons, not the least of which being the Twilight Hammers interfering, and so he decides, okay, well, given the circumstances, the only possible option here is to go to war with the Night Elves in order to claim their territory and resources to help my people, because after all, the Orcish people are not doing well. Durotar is kind of a blasted hellscape and was never fun to begin with, and that was years ago. So, they go to war, he ends up accidentally killing Cairn. Vol'jin is so pissed about the death of Cairn, he bails. Thrall is off, and that leaves Garrosh completely by himself. What do you think happens? Garrosh then spends a decent chunk of the next year and a half just waging war against the Alliance and trying to ensure that results are what happen. Because that's all he cares about, is results. Make sure things come to pass. Cool. Okay, that sucks. The first actual advisors he gets after that are Warlord Zaela, a warmongering idiot, and Malkrok, a warmongering idiot, from the Dragon Maw and the Blackrock clans, respectively. Yes, I know, Magister. I've done it on camera, if you've been paying attention, which I don't blame you for not. So, they then tell him, hey, you know what? Going to war against the Alliance, you were right all along. You should keep doing that. You should constantly be attacking. You should always be attacking. Just berserker attack. It's the only thing that matters. And he's like, you're right. So far I've been able to survive and win based on my sheer grit and power alone. Therefore, I will continue to wage war and attack constantly. So he does that for another year or so. Until finally, the Siege of Orgrimmar happens and he falls over. Thunk. Now please, explain to me any similarities between these characters past the superficial.
How are you? See you later.
They're ambushing the roads, too? We can't get a break here. Where are they coming from, anyways?
Have a good one. See you around.
Our supplies? These are meant for Stone Talon. No matter. At the rate we're going, we need them more here. Understand has been cut off from the coast.
Safe travels.
I don't want to deliver my report without at least a little bit of good news. We've got to wrest control of these roads back from these horde holdouts. When we can gather Kona Thunderwalk as the name of the ringleader. He's got a camp just north of here, a Stone Talon native. He knows these roads better than his own hide. If we can wipe him out, resistance from the west will vanish.
Have a good one.
That's right, let's kill these pathetic Tauren dogs. This land now belongs to the Alliance. Agreed, Mad Overlord. It's probably why he didn't. I will never stop repeating this fact. Cairn was bodying Garrosh. If he wanted to just straight up kill him, he probably could have pretty early into the fight. Does Arthus have a self-core unlike Garrosh? Yeah. Arthus has always had a fairly strong sense of identity and self. Is this the turn? Yep, okay. Hey look, it's the place where a bunch of ex-criminals literally torture their orc prisoners into mutilation and, I guess, end statement. Into mutilation. We'll just stay there. You know, I don't think we need to torture past mutilation, honestly. Arthus had the advantage of having the first Lich King and the forces of the Burning Legion pushing against him. Garrosh had nothing. The whole point of Garrosh's arc is that he had no excuse. Garrosh tried to use some of the Mogu artifacts, for example, but none of that ever went anywhere. None of that actually led to anything. And certainly the Twilight's Hammer was behind some of the events of the war, but not in a way that directly affected Garrosh. The whole point of Garrosh is that he was one of our very first villains that wasn't corrupted by Fel, like Kael'thas was, or consumed by the void, like the old gods were, or like Loken was back in Northrend, or, whatever else. There's always been something, right? Garrosh was just Garrosh. That was a huge part of his character. It's one of the reasons I like him. Be right back. What do you regret, Ross?
What can I do for you?
Supplies aren't getting through. Understand just gets more and more isolated. Still, the defeat of Thunderwalk should send a signal to our foes. Thank you.
Be careful.
Sure.
Hey!
I had heard of enormous seismic activities, but I had no inkling the geological chaos would be so profound. I need an up-to-date survey of the destruction while I stay here to gather the readings. Did you gather some data?
You have a great day now.
I can do that. I'm apparently blind. Where's your survey craft?
What can I do for you?
Is it up? No. Oh, hang on, what was that? Nope.
Good day to you.
God damn it.
Be seeing you.
Hey, good senator. Thank you for the sub. And yeah, sorry, I'm going to completely disagree with you. The only time in which Garrosh ever actually did anything with the Voids or the Old Gods was in, like, the last 5% of his career. Maybe not even that much. Garrosh and Hitler. Yes. The jungle wasn't here during the last week's survey. What is happening to the Barrens? That's a good question. It'll be fine. Like, even if you argue that there's this whole old god influence on Garrosh as soon as he steps foot on Pandaria, which, for the record, I do not agree with. But even if you argue that, that's way, way, way far into his storyline. It's after all of Wrath, after all of Cata, and after most of Pandaria. Did Garrosh ever care for anyone the way Arthus cared for his people? Not that we're aware of, no. He was mostly a populist because a lot of what he did got results now. He was sick and tired of things, and so people who were also sick and tired of things tended to gravitate towards him. If that sounds familiar, it should. But to my knowledge, Garrosh has never actually shown any interest in any other individual person. He definitely had an interest in the state, the Horde. That's about as far as that ever went. Yeah, no, it happens all the time. It is a semi-common occurrence, historically speaking.
Can I help you?
What? Can't you see I'm under attack here? Yes, of course, I'll give the readings later. Later, from the safety of the Eastern Kingdoms, if I have anything to say about it.
Seen you.
Well, you want to stay here and fight? Typical druid, wanting to stay and fight off the Horde while there's a chance to run for it. Look, if you really want to save Northwatch, you should report to Admiral Aubrey.
Alrighty then.
Okay.
Light be with you.
You ventured all the way here from Understand. Excellent, we can use your experience here. They may have breached the walls, but Northwatch isn't going down without a fight.
Go with honor, friend.
This sea is our only lifeline, and right now most of my fleet is either steaming back to Theramore for repairs, or rusting at the bottom of this bay. Only the Blackpool remains afloat to defend our harbor, but she's just signaled that she's being boarded. Speak to when you're ready. I'll put you're one of my naval Griffin scouts.
For the Alliance.
Okay, can I just get... Okay, alright. I think that the Demonic Horde or the Orcs before Modern WoW would like Malakath. No. I don't think anybody would really like Malakath, but definitely not either of those groups. Time to kill Rage Roar. I guess that would be our daily mandated YouTube suicide. Well, we've had tons of fascism today. We don't have any shortage of that. Hang on, Elizar. Has a happy ending story ever felt cheap to you? Yes. If so, which one? I don't know. I don't have one off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Like, endings are endings. Whether they're good, bad, or in between has nothing to do with whether or not they're happy.
Hey there. See you around.
You make a hell of a marine. We'll mop up the others, but it looks like the Horde fleet is disengaging. Maybe to land more troops? Admiral Albie will know what to do. Talk to me when you're ready to fly back.
For the Alliance. Have a good one.
I'm just gonna go back. Is that cool? Cool. Back I go.
Need help?
Captain Fisher signaled from below. The Horde fleet is landing shore parties. Can't let them flank us from the beach. I've already sent 2 of my best gunners down there to defend the beachhead. Talk to Cannoneer Smythe down the shore. You'll have to fight your way through the courtyard. See if you can help others while you're
For
there.
the Alliance.
What? Yeah, okay, sorry. Yeah, what is preventing undead from dating exactly?
You need something?
Aubrey sent you. Good. I take it you know your way around a cannon.
See you later.
We've got the hardware, but not the manpower. Man one of the cannonades and take out the oncoming boats. Die, Horde scum. Die. Die. Continue dying.
Can I help you?
The beach is ours. We might just keep a foothold in this miserable dust ball of a continent after all. What is your goal here?
See you later.
Like, is this a situation? Is this like a Casus Belli era situation? Where you're just trying to force the Horde into the worst possible treaty that you can imagine? And that's your goal?
What can I do for you?
Oh, thank the light. They've practically driven us back to the docks. The courtyard's overrun. We're out of canister shot and the orcs are getting ready for an assault up the hill. We need to improvise some scatter shot and fast. Quick! Run to the broken tower and grab whatever you can. Sharp, pointy bits of scrap metal, knives, forks, nails, anything. Just load the cannon when you've got an armful. Okay, Jesus. Hey, that's the Admiral's finest silver. Not anymore. White Mane, yeah. I forget her name, but White Mane. No, this isn't Star Trek Online, I'm afraid, Europe. Sally, that's her. Alright. Bravo! Wasn't pretty, but it worked.
How are you?
That's one way to clear a hill. Those corpses are impaled with knives and forks. The Rage Roar clan has breached the walls, but we can still turn the fight around.
See you.
Go kill a bunch of them. Okay. No, they've walked away from that for the most part now. That is a great story arc, Secret Boss Fight, unabashedly. But I think Rico just carries that by himself. Yeah. I've been kind of tracking the zones as we go, because some of you probably know I like to do little mini micro audits, especially for games this long. And one of the things I've been mentally tracking is how well this is doing compared to what later zones are going to be doing. And yeah, I can already picture like individual quest arcs are getting at positives when we get to Pandaria. How did you aggro me? You're the only one I didn't shoot. Alright, whatever. Die. Die. Idiot.
Ain't you a chipper-looking one?
The fight isn't over, not by a long shot. Some of the soldiers in the courtyard still have breath in their lungs. We can save them. I've soaked these rags in an herbal remedy we used to use back in Gilneas. The smell is awful, but the poultice can practically raise the dead.
Let the light of the new moon guide you.
No, I think I'd rather die than be a Pandaren.
Have a good one.
We'll never be able to re-secure the fortress wall so long as Rage Roar and his goons have access to artillery. I need you to fight your way across the chasm and take out his big guns. Orcs season their heavy machinery with coal tar, which makes them flammable. Take my torch and burn any catapults you find.
Safe travels.
I can do that. Pandarans are awesome, but I don't want to be a large, furry, fat guy. Like, I have enough difficulties with the heat as is. I don't need to have a giant coat of fur on top of that. Also, there's nothing special about being a Pandaren. That is to say, there's no benefit to being a Pandaren. If you're a Tauren, you're super strong. If you're a Draenei, you live forever. If you're an elf, you have magical addiction. What do you get as a Pandaren? Oh, that's right, nothing. There's no benefit to offset the detriments. Cooking secrets. I could have that without being a Pandaren. Long life? Prosperous realm? It does sound horrific, Rain 36. That is true. No.
What's your story?
Hope you have enough bandages. My supply of those herbs was cut off when these brutes sacked my beloved Gilneas.
We are bound
The
by
steady
a
stream of the walking wounded have come up the hill to see me. I trust this is your work.
You wouldn't
Well done.
want to see me when I'm angry.
I've encountered the Rage War clan before. They're not led by an orc, but by a monster. A war-gorged fiend without a shred of decency or compassion. He and his lieutenants must be killed, not just to save Northwatch, but for the good of all of Azeroth. He wears a helm. Execute him and bring the helm to me. It's of particular importance.
Good day.
Good day to you. See you around.
Good. Without heavy equipment, the Horde will have to pull back to regroup. We've bought ourselves some time to secure the fortress. Well done.
Have a good one.
Take that helmet there. Seeming a little more than a ragged scrap of pelt. path does not branch well at all, does it? It's the same amount. Whatever. Oh, excuse me. How long this little side section takes on the Alliance. Depends. What does the goblin have to offer, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton? Shamanism's all about negotiating anyways. If you can figure out what the other side wants, you can figure out a way to have some leverage.
Get Gavin or get going.
Is he dead? Do you have his helm?
Watch your back.
Rage Roar's battleships intercepted our vessel as we fled from Gilneas. We were to be carried as trophies to the war chief. As we neared the shore, some of us fought back. Rage Roar began killing indiscriminately, howling with laughter. Our ship capsized, and he orders his men to fire at us as we drowned. A few of us made it to land. Afterwards, I learned he wore my brother's scalp as a trophy. Wow, that's extremely horrific. Moving on.
You need something?
The Admiral will be pleased that Northwatch is almost secure, but if we're going to keep a grip on this continent, we're going to need to maintain the supply lines to the interior. Just before the assault, I received the strangest of reports. She says they're having trouble with the jungle? There's no jungle in the Barrens.
See you later.
Let's see if we can figure out what that's all about, shall we? Right.
Hey there. See you around.
Also a nope. I guess we'll just have to disagree on that point, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. Excuse me.
King's honor, friend.
Worst redemption art in WoW? Arc in WoW. I don't know. Help me out, chat. What's a really bad redemption arc in this game?
Go with honor, friend.
Sylvanas was never redeemed. Next. So Paxton said there's no jungle in the Barrens. What do you call this? I got a pile of supplies from the interior, and my camp has been overrun by a force that I swear grows by the hour.
Be careful. Light bless you.
One of the native species is the quillboar. Prickly little buggers. Go kill them, because you've already done this quest.
Go with honor, friend.
And this quest.
Light bless you.
Great to meet you.
Unfortunately, it looks like we're going to have to repeat like all of these quests, so... Alright. I would also argue that Magatha was never redeemed. Like, they brought her back for Legion, and then they just walked away from her. And she hasn't been seen since. So... No, you know what? You win. I don't feel like arguing today, Lord Paramount. You win. Sylvanas was totes redeemed. Let's see. Redemption stories in WoW. You know what? Yeah, I forgot about that one, Magister. So yes, the one in Warlords is the worst one. And I know you're like, which one's that one? I'm not going to tell you because it's a spoiler. But there's one in Warlords which is the worst redemption. And that is 100% a redemption story. It's just really, really, really bad. What did Kalia need to be redeemed from? Like, where's the redemption there? Anduin doesn't even exist at this point of the story era. I'm not sure we'll ever do an in-depth discussion of him at one point in time, but he'll show up in Pandaria during the Jade Forest. And then after that, he'll show up during the 5.1 chain. That's also in Pandaria. After that, he will briefly poke his head in during BFA. Ironically, he doesn't have a lot of presence in BFA. Comparatively, anyways. And then War Within, which is when we'll actually talk about Anduin. Jaina had a redemption arc by virtue of being written properly again. I don't know if I count that. Damn it, good senator. Why would you do this? I mean, this goes into that old argument, too. Was Darth Vader... Well, excuse me, was Anakin Skywalker redeemed? That's an old debate. I think that predates,
well met.
some of my viewers being alive. Oh, please don't redeem Gallywix. Either let him be a monster and let us kill him, or let us kill him. I'm cool with either of these outcomes, really. Thank you, the good senator, very much. I do always appreciate your support. Yeah, exactly, Blake Tamal. It's an old argument. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Remember, you could pick 2 additional things, good senator, if you want to. You can also, if you prefer, pick a genre if you don't want to pick a specific thing. I have not played L.A. Noire. It has been inferred upon me multiple times by multiple people that I should never touch that game, and I trust them. Redemption equals death is actually a fascinating literary trope. Nowadays, people tend to use it to be lazy, but the actual original reason for it existing is because if you leave someone who is redeemed alive, what you've created is a mess. Like, imagine for a moment if Darth Vader survived the events of the Battle of Endor. Sure, he's redeemed, he's helped save the day and helped win the battle. Okay, cool. Now what? And there's a very big, now what, just sitting there, staring at them.
Hi.
Guess I'll turn in these
See you soon.
quests.
Off with you.
Greetings. For the Alliance. Light bless you. Light be with you.
On trial for war crimes. I mean, he's guilty. So there you go. Guilty. What do you sentence him with?
What can I do for you? Go with honor, friend.
Oh, and yeah, that's the other thing. Even if the official, legal government was like, nah, we're gonna let him go. You know that people would be like, hey.
Safe travels.
Grom's is a fascinating one. I do actually like Grom's redemption, although there's definitely a asterisk there, As I myself have pointed out many, many times, as far back as the first lore run I ever did, Grom never really did anything for anybody else, he just did it for himself. But he did actually try. I'll always give him credit for that. He made the effort. Not everyone does that. Oh, nice pillars of snow. I hope you like them. Yeah, Grom was attempting to redeem himself. He was on that path. That path got interrupted, but he was still there. I believe there's a Christmas sale on right now, isn't there? Ignore the giant plant ripping that person to shreds right in front of me, by the way. Just ignore that. Oh, sorry, I guess we're in between the holiday sales, my bad. I know they had a Black Friday sale. Which is just holiday sales, so...
Need help? For the Alliance. Be careful.
Okay, now we get the go-to. Okay, now that we've done those repeat quests, let's scooch over here. So, hey. It's Gnarlex. Interestingly enough, in lore, Gnarlex is actually one of the highest tier druids in the setting. He just doesn't get a lot of screen time. We'll see him again later in Cata, actually. If you're thinking, who the hell's Gnarlex? He was the guy we rescued from the Wailing Caverns from the Nightmare.
Alone be with you.
What happened here? Did you know the Barrens was once a lush forest? Thousands of years ago, before the first Sundering, it was verdant and thriving, watched over by the Kaldorei. When the continents were torn apart, this land became separated as what we call Kalimdor, and this valley of nature became a harsh, sun-scorched plain. When I first learned this, I saw it a great tragedy. I decided I would find a way to regrow the forests once more. While studying the land, I discovered the cave that stretched deep beneath the earth. These waterways carried underground rivers for miles beneath the parched savanna above. I named them the Wailing Caverns, for the howls they made by the wind and steam as they coursed through its depths. This would be the instrument of revival, I thought. The water had already bubbled to the surface as small, lush oases throughout the Barrens. If it were imbued, enhanced, this growth could spread across the entire land. My plan was to connect these underground waters directly to the Emerald Dream itself. With my faithful disciples, I journeyed into the Wailing Caverns and settled into meditation, entering the dream. Through my own body, this world was connected to it. That's when everything went wrong. I came upon what I can only describe as an overwhelming corruption within the Emerald Dream. An unending nightmare that seized me in its claws and tore at my very mind. I could not break free of its grasp. My disciples, which he's from there too, by the way, were unable to wake me. Whatever this corruption was, it found its way to our world through my body. I did indeed channel its energies into the Wailing Caverns, and its horrible influence twisted the wildlife into chaotic, deviant forms. Even my disciples were affected, their minds overcome by madness and savagery. They took the forms of serpents and called themselves the Druids of the Fang. I was saved by my last disciple, Muya, and a band of adventurers. That was us. I considered the entire incident a failure. It wasn't until the cataclysm occurred that I realized I'd been far too successful. When the Barrens was cracked apart, a great font of the underground water was breached, and flowed up to the surface, full of the energies it was imbued with. Life immediately sprang from the earth around it, and animals thrived. And then it continued to grow, uncontrollably, unchecked. Now I have to answer for my arrogance in thinking I could dictate the flow and shape of nature itself. The overgrowth must be stopped, before it chokes out the natural wildlife entirely.
Elune, light your path. Be careful. May the stars guide you. Goddess, watch.
The energies unleashed here have surged through the wildlife, twisting them into powerful and unstable forms. If allowed to spread beyond this grove, these deviates will wreak havoc on our existing ecosystem, devouring local prey and driving out weaker natural creatures. Cull the population.
Good luck, friend.
Okay, I can do that.
Greetings, traveler.
This game, this quest is called Add or Subtraction. The corruption unleashed here must be studied if we're to find a way of properly fighting it. Luckily, not all the creatures have been as altered as others. The smaller snakes drink little water and do not eat plants, so their exposure has been minimal. They've still absorbed enough to have change coloration. To change coloration. Go collect these snakes so we can see what's happening to the creatures here.
May the eternal sun shine.
There's got to be a way to cure these poor creatures without having to take their lives. I have an idea, but I'll need your help. The lash vine that roam here holds seeds full of primal energy. Collect these for me and bring them back. We'll see if something can be done.
Ancestors watch over you.
One moment, please. I guess what's his competition, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton? We don't see a lot of shamans. You know, I'm not even sure, Lord Hermont, to be honest with you. Weird. Hi, Wrecker's Beard. So, Gum asked, do I have an opinion on Imperial characters turning to the Rebel side in Star Wars? Yeah, it's really boring, and I'm sick of it. But the way they designed it was that the Galactic Empire is so evil that there's only two types of people who work for it. Idiots, and people who are smart who then immediately, change sides because they have a brain. There is a third category there, but they're so rare that I can only actually name one Star Wars work ever that even acknowledges that they exist. No, I was mostly just making a joke, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. The correct answer to your question is I do not know. As of this moment in time, I couldn't tell you when exactly the shift happened. Probably in the books. Because remember, during the events of Durnhold, he managed to knock over the entire fortress by himself. Using shamanistic power, obviously. But I'm pretty sure the Durnhold incident actually, in real-life lore, happened after the events of Warcraft 3. Yeah, idiots, zealots, and turncoats. There's your Imperials. Listen, it's fine, it's fine. On their sacred path to do their ritualistic yearly sacrifice thing, or not sacrifice, wrong word, yearly pilgrimage, that's the word I'm looking for. We'll put these little rest stops with cheap drinks and comfortable seats on the way. It'll be fine. Yeah, there aren't a lot of shaman main characters in Warcraft. It's pretty funny. Like, obviously there's us, but that's about it. Other than, like, Thrall, Nobundo. Oh, jeez. I'm actually having trouble thinking of a third one. I can't think of a third one off the top of my head. The Tide Sages are interesting. But yeah, for the most part, they count as shamans, shamanistic magic. There is Magatha. She is a dark shaman. I guess Drekthar counts, but, I mean, he's literally in a wheelchair at this point. We'll see that when we get to Hillsbrad. Yeah, Drekthar was a vet before the First War. He's been around for a while. That's true. Ner'zhul would have qualified. He was one of the venerated shamans back of the Shadowmoon clan. We'll talk about that when we get to Warlords as well. Yeah, Rethgar is who you're thinking of. The Hero of the Storm, aka the guy who was the shaman representative in Heroes of the Storm. No, shamans are very interesting. We meet plenty in Kata, but most of them are more like one-offs or two-offs. Like that goblin shaman we meet in Vashir, and I think it might be the same one in Deepholm. I'm not sure about that. Not right now, not at the top of my head. Yeah, I was just thinking that the Order Hall for the Shamans. It's okay, it could be worse. It could be the Warrior Order Hall, which is literally filled with brand new, no-name characters, and then, like, a couple of people from previous lore. When I say a couple, I frickin' mean it. God, I hated the Warrior Order Hall so much. Yeah, tons of paladins, tons of rogues. Tons and tons of mages. It's like a mage surplus in Warcraft. Dwarven shamans? Oh, geez, that's a good question. I don't know. Horde Paladins? I can think of one. Can't think of her name. The Blood Elf woman. She's been a fairly regular character since PC. Lady Liadrin. That's it. And then there's Desco. And I think that's it. Those two. There was Terranar in the East Plagues, and Shadowmoon, I think, is the other place he showed up in. I know, Fife. That was such a cool arc, too. Literally went from being a priest companion to being a paladin companion.
Hello. Till next week.
Thank you. I'm pleased you remain intact. The viciousness I've been seeing amongst the creatures is startling.
May the stars guide you.
If I have truly sown chaos, it is time for the reaping. Lumbering outgrowths of plant life shambling through the imbued lifestream are a direct manifestation of the unstable forces mutating this area. Slay as many as you can, and we might be able to further slow the spread of the overgrowth. And while you're at it, be on the lookout for parts of them that may be especially corrupted, and bring any such pieces to me.
Be careful.
Peace, friend.
Have you collected enough? We'll need several for proper comparison.
Walk with
These will do perfectly. Bright colors like these don't naturally occur in the Barrens. They haven't developed any other mutations so
May
far.
the eternal sun shine upon thee.
Based on what you've brought me, I think we may have a solution. I've imbued the Lashvine seed with healing energies. Simple contact with these should imbue the creatures with enough energy to force out corruptive influence.
Go in.
We'll see how that works out. Let's see what happens. Okay, it went mad and tried to kill me. Perfect, perfect. Yeah, where's our undead paladins while we're on the subject? And don't even give me that crap. I know what you're thinking. Yeah, we literally already have undead priests. That's a semi-common role for them. Ooh. I wasn't ready for them to hulk up, Jesus. Happening. Yeah, like, let's ignore the eternal argument of whether or not undead paladins already exist. Because believe it or not, that turned into an argument during the lore run. A barely heated argument, I feel like adding. Let's just put it very, very simply. A paladin is nothing more than a martially trained priest, someone who wields the holy light. We have undead priests. That's it. End statement. Okay, that one exploded. That one was healed. Yay. God damn it, Record Spirit. Oh yeah, Void Elf Paladins is also a thing. Let's say that one more time. Void Elf Paladins. Exploded too.
Greetings. Till next we meet.
Heading down the overgrowth won't really buy us time. Have you found anything?
Alone light.
He slowly takes the discording heart from you, visibly disturbed. I have been a fool. The one truth I did not want to accept has been staring me in the face this entire time. This foul thing is proof of that. You and I have much work to do.
Goddess, watch over.
This confirms it. The overgrowth is not being caused by mere overabundance of energy. You understand? This is what beyond what happened to the Wailing Caverns. A rift into the nightmare must have torn open in the middle of this very land we're standing on. I think it's my fault. I'm done picking the edges of the wound. Go to the west. We will meet into the heart of this corruption itself.
Good luck, friend.
I've been expecting you.
Yeah. That looks like a pleasant place. Hey, Narlex, you ready?
What brings you here?
I'm ready.
May the stars guide you.
Hell is that thing? You know what? I'm not sure I want to know what that is. I think we're good.
Can I assist you? Till next we meet.
We did it. The nightmare's connection to this place has been severed. The rest of the land is safe from intrusion, and in time the aberrations will be subsumed by the balance of nature. I cannot thank you enough. By helping to restore order here, you've helped me to amend my foolish actions.
Be careful.
You're welcome. I look forward to seeing you again later. I did. Recker's beard. I've actually already commented on it, but to repeat myself briefly, more support specs equals yes in my book. Oh, hey, look! It's General Hawthorne.
Greetings. For the Alliance, light bless you. Be careful. Well met. Go with honor, friend.
The Horde has taken to calling this region the Fields of Blood. An apt name, those reeds turned red with the blood of some of my best men. I've sent our recon patrols to crush the Quillbore and report on the Horde troop movements, but it's not all of them returned. They could use some of your support. Sure, I can do that.
Be careful. Go with honor.
Strategically, control of this region requires constant observation. See here on this map, I've identified a number of strategic hills, similar to this one. The Alliance must acquire if we're going to keep the enemy under our scrutiny. My scouts have already marked their locations. What I need is someone to spearhead and capture the spot.
For the Alliance,
Hang
King's
on,
honor,
real quick.
friend.
What happened at Taurajo? You know, the massacre and butchery of Taurajo that we've already seen so much of on the Horde side. Our assault in the Horde town of Taurajo. I struggle with the implications of that decision. Taurajo was admittedly what you'd call a soft target. It was a hunter's camp. Still, it had been used to recruit, equip, and train Horde infantry for years. When our scouts reported that Taurajo's most dangerous units were out on the hunt, we had to act quickly. So we sacked the town. I would prefer not to use the term sacked, but yes. The attack went off flawlessly. We removed Taurajo from the equation, confiscated the arms, and destroyed the smithing facilities. That sounds like a sacking. The assault gave our forces considerable breathing room and knocked the enemy off balance. Nonetheless, during the assault, I instructed my men to leave a gap open in our lines. Why would you do that? Taurajo had a significant civilian population. I wanted to ensure that they could escape the fighting, and many did, finding refuge in the north. There are some in the Alliance High Command who argued that I let an opportunity slip away, that I should have taken hostages, but I don't see the value in those kind of terror tactics. Hear me out. I want this war to end someday. It won't stop if we start butchering or imprisoning civilians. I just pray there are those on the other side who see things as I do.
Light bless you.
And yeah, go ahead, Recker's. Thank you for asking.
Quickly, quickly! Careful out there.
So, Rain 36 asks the question of the crowd. If you had the choice to eject one of the roles from dungeons, which would you get rid of, tank or healer? So I have 3 answers for that. One is the obvious answer. None of them. Triad exists for a good reason, and they do some good stuff with it in WoW. The second answer is both of them. This is actually something I've hypothesized about several times over in another MMO, Final Fantasy XIV. Changing how damage is outputted, changing who has control of the battle, adjusting it so that healers can actually DPS properly as if they were a DPS class. These are all things that could essentially remove the Trinity from existence. Yeah, it's similar to Guild Wars 2, but a little bit more well thought out than Guild Wars 2. The third answer is the you've put a gun to my head and I have to pick one, so I guess I'll get rid of tanks.
Greetings. For the Alliance.
Very good. We may never drive the Horde completely from these lands. With a strong presence, we can undermine their will to fight.
Go with
Is that the goal here, to prevent the Horde from, like, existing as a polity?
Light bless you.
Your report? Incredible. You're a real asset to the Alliance. I'll see to it that my men follow your example.
Be careful. Go with honor.
Our policy of conscripting non-violent criminals from the Stormwind Stockades has come back to haunt us. You thought I was joking. Some of my less scrupulous soldiers broke ranks after our victory in Taurajo and are looting the city. This is a breakdown in discipline, and worse, the desecration of the homes only spurs the enemy to fight harder when our ultimate goal should be peace. Take these manacles and bring Taurajo looters to justice.
Light bless you.
I mean, I don't think the well, actually, no, I take that back. All the aspects would be shamans, wouldn't they? Never mind.
How are you?
Hey, woman, I'm just trying to get a slice of the pie.
Safe travels.
No way I'm letting you ship me back to the stockades. Well, I mentioned this earlier in brief. The Alliance wants 2 things. First thing they want is to prevent the Horde from existing. If this doesn't... I'm saying that wrong. I'm sorry. I'm really, really tired and have a headache and my throat hurts. So forgive me for the fact that I'm failing at communicating. A very common tactic in real-life politics was to try and ensure that you beat your enemy so hard that they're no longer capable of being your enemy. Rome and the Carthaginians, to use a specific example, right? They want to make sure that their enemy never actually challenges them ever again. That is very clearly what the Alliance wants here. They want to push the Horde down to the point where there is no superpower Horde. There's just, you know... I should be arresting these people and not killing them. I just realized. Whoops! So they want to push the Horde down, so there is no Horde.
What can I do for you?
Yeah, there's some orcs. There's some trolls. There's some Taurens. Maybe some Forsaken. They'll probably kill all the Forsaken. They definitely want that. But yeah, they want to dismantle the Horde. Jaina. Well, my ass will be in bed tomorrow when I can't stream. And forgive me for being irritable at something so stupid. But it really does irritate me that the day I'm sick is the day before the servers go down. So, thanks for that, Blizzard. Very inconvenient. Anyways. The second thing they want, and they've actually already showed this in the quest we've talked about, is they want a direct pipeline between their holdings here in Dustwallow and the Night Elven lands, which is like all of this up here, right? So, they want to have a direct highway connecting those going like this way, up there, right? As it happens, Barrens is right in the middle of that. So that's why. That's the Alliance claim to the Barrens. That's their Casus Belli, if you prefer. Lord knows that the Night Elves, in particular, have plenty of excuses for war against the Horde, both historical and present. And the place we're walking through right now is also an excuse for war on the other side, among others. They never state this outright, but the new conscription policies that the Alliance are using is something I've always felt is at least part of the problem with why so many Alliance officers are just kind of messed up in the South Barrens. Well, didn't need to kill him. I keep killing these prisoners on accident.
You need something?
Oh, it's actually really simple, Bladejaval. I can tell you're not listening because I read it out loud like 5 minutes ago. Non-violent criminals get a pardon if you join the military. That's it. That's all. Give the Alliance access to Teldrassil in a non-hostile way. First, I get my buttons correct. Wrong button. Yeah, remember, they've been bleeding out troops for a bit now, and most of the elite troops are off fighting on other battlefields. This was, by all accounts, the initial fight in the South Barrens wasn't seen as the fight. It became the fight because both sides ended up walking into each other. If you ever studied the American Civil War, it's Gettysburg, right? Nobody cared about Gettysburg. There was no tactical or strategic significance to that town. It was some little podunk place on the middle of the road that happened to be on a crossroads between two other completely unrelated areas. But two armies happened to meet at Gettysburg. And that was pretty much the battle of that particular arc of the war.
King's honor, friend. For the Alliance. Be careful.
Well done. Several of the looters have already crawled back requesting clemency. I'll let them stew for a bit in the Northwatch brig. Thank you for helping maintain discipline in the ranks. It's important for our army to be perceived as soldiers, not common bandits.
Go with honor, friend.
Thanks in part to your efforts, we've stabilized the situation. We need to turn our attention south to Fort Triumph. Fort Triumph is keystone of our operations in the Barrens, the vital land link between Northwatch and Theramore. I'll pack up and head out separately. Report to Commander Roberts when you get there.
For the Alliance.
Sure thing, Commander Hawthorne. Have a safe trip. Stay off the roads. Huh? Just don't worry about it. I don't understand that question, Mr. Floyd Pinkerton. Speaking as someone who usually does the quests, I really don't understand that question. Like, quests are meat content in WoW. Always have been. Well, maybe not always.
Light be with you. Light bless you.
Have you heard? The general never made it. Oh no! He was killed in the field by some orc shaman named Eindenux.
For the Alliance.
Were he still alive, to avenge himself, General Hawthorne would no doubt order a retaliatory massacre of biblical proportions. You're quite right, Trask.
Go with honor, friend.
So yeah. Remember, we killed him. On the other side.
Light bless you.
Cool.
Can I help you? Alrighty then.
Interest ya in a pint? Be good.
I think we need to do...
What can I do for you? Be careful.
Yeah, time to go kill this orcish shaman guy. Yeah, they use a couple of turns of phrase that probably shouldn't exist in Warcraft lore. Listen, escalation is always the right answer to a massive quagmire war. For reference, I actually did these quests on the Horde first, and then Alliance, and it was just like, oh my god. It's just... Oh. Well, if you're paying attention, and it was written pretty particularly, nothing on the Horde side indicated anything was off, other than just he was a terrible person. He was the general in charge of ordering the assault of Taurajo. So he got the nickname, the Butcher of Taurajo. And as we showed off, plenty of civilians died of the assault in Taurajo. So much so that they were still having people who died simply from fleeing from the damn place. So, you know, from the Horde side of things, it's very cut and dry. This is a monster, he needs to be put down. It's not until we see the Alliance side that you start to understand there were some layers going on. This is why I praise the South Barrens and the entire MSQ of Kalimdor so much. It's probably one of the only story arcs in the entirety of Cata that actually manages to show both sides in what I would call a well-written light, right? Because usually it's, the Horde are pure evil, or the Alliance are pure evil, and like nothing in between, right? It's just whoever the enemy is, you're supposed to dislike them, that's it. South Barrens was actually well written. And I already pointed this out, but good news! By all accounts, this quagmire never stops grinding. Well, that's not true. Sorry. I shouldn't say never. I don't know why I said it that way. Neither side ever wins, is what I was trying to say. Neither side ever actually wins the battle for the South Barrens. Instead, what ends up happening is Theramore. That is true, Huthor. Something I will not be dinging it for, because I don't actually think that's much of a flaw, personally. Like, I do get your point, but it's just, for me, that just makes it even better. It's like saying that the biggest flaw of the Rogue Order Hall in Legion is the fact that you only find out all that stuff if you're on the Rogue side. It's true, but that just makes it better, at least for me.
Need help?
Incredible work. My men reported breakthrough. Their stronghold won't survive much longer. Uh-huh, that's definitely true. Here's a nice touch. There's the general, right? If we talk to his widow...
Good day to you.
I rode here from Theramore as soon as word reached me. John and I always talked about settling down after the conflict subsided. I don't think the fighting will ever stop. Do you?
Safe travels.
For the longest time, I would have said no, because Blizzard was just in love with the HVA back then. However, to answer the question, was Cata alt-friendly? Absolutely. In fact, I could go so far as to say that Cataclysm was the first alt-friendly expansion in WoW. Thanks entirely to how they restructured the New World.
What can I do for you? Keep your feet on the ground.
News from the fortress. Oh, spit it out.
Be good.
What the name you've been earning yourself, but Roberts isn't going far enough. We need a decisive victory. By the way, this guy is in Pandaria in patch 5.1. Let's point that out.
See you soon.
Patrol's been quiet today. That's got me worried. Ever since the Alliance sacked Taurajo, none of our positions are secure. You look like you can handle yourself. Can you scout down for me? Check in with me, son. Yeah, sure.
Safe travels.
I will go check up on your son. It'll be fine. I will agree that alt grinds and gear grinds and all that weren't alt friendly, but that's not really what I was asked. I was asked, was it alt friendly? You know, leveling multiple characters. Unless I was misunderstanding the question, in which case, ignore me, I'm an idiot. Okay.
You got my attention.
Father sent you. Oh, he worries too much. Has nothing he can't handle. But I appreciate the help.
Safe travels. Watch your back.
Look at the chaos down there. I've instructed the foremen to save what artifacts they can. Who knows what treasures these Tauren animals are like to make off with? Can you get a handle on things? Kill the raiders, save the artifacts. Look for the missing tools.
Safe travels.
Arcane to Hexia. No question. Saddest story ever held. Freely was one of our fastest diggers. So I got a hold of that thing. The Tear of the Moons, he called it. It changed him, remade him. Wish he'd stayed buried. He was banished from Baal Modan, but I've heard the reports he's come sniffing around again. He suffered enough, that wretched thing. If you find him, put him out of his misery.
See you soon.
So, I don't want to go too much into this, but this is Tauren land. In fact, this is a Tauren holy site. And we're going to murder them in order to rob the place of artifacts, because the Tauren animals might destroy them in their attempt to reclaim their holy site from us. Let's see, as far as rep grinds, I would say the only time that rep grinds were even tolerable in this entire game's history was during Wrath. Very specifically Wrath. If you're wondering why, it was because during Wrath we had this thing where you could put on a tabard. And a tabard would enable you to do dungeons, especially heroic dungeons, and that would give you a tremendous amount of rep. And doing dungeons is fun and relatively easy to do, and the LFG tool came out, so, hey. In other words, yes, the best reps I've ever been is when they made it so that it was barely a grind at all. In my opinion. Even as recently as War Within and Dragonflight, I'm not a big fan of the rep grind. Oh, I am sorry, Evo. I hope you will forgive me for secretly canceling NG3. I don't know what NG3 is, but it's canceled. One more. I know what you meant. I'm just poking fun. I'm allowed to poke fun, damn it. I'm not allowed to poke fun. What's the point of even living? Why am I an aggro at that guy? And why do I care? Why are you aggro? Who are you? We must defend our homeland. Okay, but like, we want it, so... Now there's an interesting way we could take the Alliance in the Warcraft rewrite. Just turn them straight imperialist. Like, just lean into it hard. Don't even try to hide it. Maybe the reason they attack Kalimdor is literally because they're here to settle it. What am I in combat with? I do like how some of the reps are per account now. Not all. Some. Yeah, just straight up colonialism.
What's on your mind?
The only downside is I'm trying to figure out why the dwarves would ever do that.
Off with you.
How's the situation down there? When the raid started, I popped a bullet into the ringleader, but they just kept right on coming.
Safe travels.
That is not true, Huthor, and I can prove that.
See you soon.
Let's see, where is it? Where is it? Oh, it's not on this list, is it? I guess it wouldn't be on the list at all, yeah, okay. Well, there's a rep that's not here that does not carry forward. Point made. They even mentioned it when they were talking about in the patches where they're saying almost every rep is getting ported forward except for, and it was like 3 individual reps.
How are ya? Watch your back. Safe travel.
Me father would be proud. Let's get this flying machine up and about again.
Watch your back.
Fine penmanship fills this... What? Oh, sorry, that's a Night Elf quest.
What can I do for ya?
Yeah, the Furbog thing. I couldn't think what it's called. It's the language thing. Aye, for the best, I suppose. Yep, I killed your buddy.
See you soon.
Okay, let's take these artifacts to my father. Thanks to your help, my flying machine is ready to roll. Yeah, let's go get in his flying machine.
What's on your mind?
I'm not trying to pull it technically. All I said was almost every rep is find an account. And I was right. And then you tried to disagree with me by saying, no, you're wrong. Every rep is. And you're wrong. So don't give me that, Uthor, okay? Not today. You can't pull technicalities today. We're all very proud of Belmodon. It was the very first dwarven settlement in Kalimdor. Yeah. Well, no, it is almost every rep. Like, for example, and I just showed this without even... Like, there's the Cobalt Assembly, there's Sibelian, there's Soradormi. Hey, do you hear that? Oh my god, the fortress is exploding! And there's this orc shaman running out of the fortress right now! Mayday! Mayday! The battered dwarf hangs limply from the cockpit. As you approach the burning wreckage, his eyes flutter open. Marley Twinbraid is alive. He gasps the side of your head with a shaking, bloodied hand. Ale. Must have ale.
Welcome!
You got to do something. Some dwarves are still trapped inside. There's so many. They're trapped in the debris. Buried alive, the flames. It's a nightmare in there. We don't know how much longer till the roof collapses. Please, you've got to save them.
Safe travels.
Twinbraid.
How are you?
Sabotage. It had to be. The whole fortress magazine exploded. The horde must have gotten someone inside. If you've got the stones to rush into that burning nightmare, look for clues who did this.
Keep your feet on the ground.
Yeah, I didn't leave anyone alive in there. What are you talking about? I'll save you. He didn't make it, by the way. Remember, he was... he was right over here. If you remember, he was right here. This is as far out as... That is as far out as he made it. He still has the cheese. I legitimately wonder how many Alliance players who have never touched the Horde quests see this goblin and a slice of cheese, and they're just like, what's with the cheese? One smoldering corpse stands out amongst the wreckage. A dead goblin clutching schematics of the fortress. It was the Bilgewater Cartel goblins. Remember, it actually wasn't. This guy is not affiliated with the Hellscream Horde at all. Excuse me, I need to rescue some people before I burn to death. And yes, I am taking fire damage every few seconds just from being in here. God damn it, Lord Harrimont, you're evil. So if you vigilantes doing this, that's acceptable. You can't do this as a state operation. That I'm aware of, Evo, but don't quote me on that. It's actually pretty similar to FF14 in that way. Both games have only dipped into the player character being a character a few times, like the Dark Knight chain over in FF14, or the Pandaria thing, or the Legion thing over in WoW. You die, Lord Harrimont. I'm kidding, those little water valves help.
Great to meet you.
So we did it. We saved these poor innocent people.
Keep your feet on the ground.
Poor, extremely innocent dwarves. I do like this tidbit right here. Marley's breathing is ragged, coming and going in shuddering gasps. He looks at you, imploringly. His eyes sparkle as you rush towards him with the ale. He grasps the mug in both of his shaking hands and upends it, white foam spilling over his blood-caked beard. Oh, that's the stuff. Thank you, friend. That'll make this a little easier. Coughing one final time, he slumps over the shattered control console. the half-empty mug crashing to the ground and spilling its contents onto the sand. Marley Twinbraid is dead. You gently close his eyes. Someone is going to have to tell General Twinbraid that the Horde killed his only son. That someone is you. I love this. I love this whole arc. I remember that, Huthor. In fact, it's actually a clip on my Twitch page. Hey, your son's dead.
Great to meet you. See you soon.
He hurls his axe blade into the dirt, his voice quivering with disbelief and rage. That was my boy. My only boy. They've made it personal, Druid. They made it personal.
Be good.
What?
Well met.
So we describe the evidence as it was. The Bilgewater goblins, was it? They want to fight, do they? We'll show them what it means to be part of the Horde, we will. I'll fill the battle scar with their corpses. I'll redden the dirt with their blood. Goblins are going to die.
Safe travels.
I want to see some dead goblins, Adreed. Just west of here you find a whole warren of those little insects burrowing into the mountain. Let's see what they're digging their grave. Destroy them. Lay waste to their whole grubby operation. They've sown their own demise. And it's time to meet the Reaper.
Keep your feet on the ground. Be good.
It's not enough to just kill them. I want to give those goblins a taste of their own. Go into the mine and arm a pile of the explosives. At the entrance of the mine, you'll see a plunger. Put the fear into them, Druid.
Safe travels.
And yeah, I hate to point out the extremely obvious, but on the one hand, it's very sympathetic and understandable that this man has just lost his son. And so have a whole lot of other people. Like, his line, they just made this personal, is actually nonsensical. Now, that makes sense. I'm not complaining that's bad writing. That's actually the opposite of what I'm saying. But it does say something about how the quagmire works, for lack of a better way to put it. Look at that. Yep, it's time for the Horde and Alliance to finally unify again. All they have to do is get past the mountains of corpses on both sides. That should be easy, right? I'm getting more and more convinced it's going to stick this time, Brego. It has been many expansions since the HVA was a thing in this game. Yeah, we're literally just killing miners at this point. These are not military on any level. These guys who we're killing also had absolutely nothing to do with the assault on Baelgoon. They probably aren't even aware of the fact that the assault happened yet. I mean, it's probably telling that the Grand Glorious Alliance and the Blood Horde is treated as one of the worst case scenarios in lore. I've already mentioned that a few times. That was in Dragonflight. What, you don't like having extremely bad quest chains? And buggy layering? And having to sift through pages upon pages of notes and reverse engineering to try and figure out what things you have to do to unlock what other things to be able to access the one thing you actually care about. I was talking with a friend of mine recently about that. BFA is probably the most FF14 WoW has ever been. A little bit Shadowlands as well, but mostly BFA. It was very much designed from the perspective of you have to do absolutely everything in order to access later stuff in the chain. No, I stand by it, Bragwin. I have said for years that that's one of the bigger flaws of FF14, and I will never step back from that opinion. The fact that you have to do everything in order to access later stuff is ridiculous, especially at this point in time. And that's exactly how BFA and Shadowlands are. Like, random example. Let me just toss out one random thing. Let's say for a moment that you want to go do, I don't know, some random quest chain that's in Dazara lore. Okay, so have you already done this other quest chain to unlock and showcase the zone? No? Okay, go do that. I'm not sure exactly how far into it you have to go. Even to this very day, I'm not sure how far you have to go. But you have to go pretty far into it. Okay, you did that. Now, you have to make sure you don't have any of these other 2 quests active, which is pretty easy to have active. If you do, you have to finish those chains as well to be able to progress. Okay, now you have access to the correct layer, but you still got this other problem. That's not even the worst one. You know the actual worst one? And I will ding the crap out of this when we get there. If you want to start the chain to get your freaking cloak, you need to complete a portion of the Nazjatar MSQ. For absolutely no reason. Again, it's the FF14 thing. You have to progress the story to get to the later story beats, right? If you don't understand what that involves, allow me to try and just begin to elucidate on that. So, first thing you have to do is you have to get most of the major basic unlocks done to the point where you even have access to Nazjatar. That requires doing its own thing, so that's cool. No, even back in the day, Kata wasn't like that at all in Magister. And it certainly isn't like that now. BFA, by contrast, was always this way, and is still this way to this day, so no. So, you have to go do several quest chains to get access to Nazjatar. Then you have to do Nazjatar. In fact, you have to do several weeks of Nazjatar, because the only way to progress the Nazjatar MSQ is to do dailies. Daily rep grinds. This is not a joke. Once you've successfully done those rep grinds, okay, no problem. Except, then you do still have to continue to progress the quest for a while in order to be able to access the stuff after that, and blah, blah, blah. It's so bad. I actually have a character sitting in Nazjatar who has the rep quest done and hasn't gone so much as one more step past that, specifically so I have that unlock ready to go for you guys, because otherwise, I would have to hit that point of the MSQ, I remind you, and be like, well, we'll get back to this in about a week. General Twin Braid will be pleased, but somehow it'll be enough to quench his thirst for vengeance. Yeah.
Hello.
Yep. We just killed a mountain full of goblins. Civilian goblins. I don't actually know, Scumlord. I haven't poked reputations in War Within.
See you soon.
Dead? Good. Let word of this deed spread, and with it terror. The Horde will feel the consequences of their attack on Beldoon, and they'll rue the day they ever crossed us.
Keep your feet on the ground.
Nice work. I suppose there's some strategic value in depriving the minerals, but I'd have done it anyway just to crush those little green monstrosities.
Be good.
Ugh, I spit upon them. Spitue. But yeah, you're probably wondering, hang on, Lord, why do you even care about that particular quest chain? Well, the first and most obvious reason is this is a review, and so showing off MSQ is something I'd like to do. Second of all, and substantially more importantly... Yes, thank you. Jesus. Second of all, and substantially more importantly, you have to do the Nazjatar chain to unlock the Cloak quest. You need the Cloak to defeat N'Zoth. I have still never killed N'Zoth. To this day. I have the Cloak. On one character. Yeah. Anyways. Moving on. Let's go ahead and think about this here. Does everyone in the party need the Cloak? So, yeah, I've heard that they patched that out. I don't actually know if they have, in fact, patched that out. But, yes. What was I doing? It's okay, I have the Cloak. I guess I can just look it up right now while we're here. Let's do this. Let's look it up this way. Just look at our patch changes here. Which I don't see any of. Cool. Okay, I need the fight. There we go. I see 2 patches in BFA, but I don't see anything else. Hang on. Let's pull up list of patches. Okay, so you say it was 10.2.7. I'm not saying I don't believe it. I just want to verify, because that's going to change who I take to that raid. Is this one of those things where, like, it's not in the official patch notes? I hate that, by the way. They do that a lot in WoW. And sometimes those undocumented changes are actually kind of important. Okay, here we go. No, I still don't see it. Do you mind linking me that, Huthor? It is kind of important, and I am not finding it. No, you are not, Evo. Bragwin was very upset about Dragonflight because she got very lost of the order in which to do the quests, thanks to the lack of signposting in Dragonflight. She is arguing a different thing than you are arguing, to put it into simple terminology. And to be clear, Dragonflight will get negatives for that, because Dragonflight is one of the worst, probably the worst, I'd say, expansion about signposting. You can now enter every mind gate to kill Psychus without a debuff. No one get mind controlled at reaching 0 energy. Yeah, there you go. Boom. That's the big one right there. You can also use your Heart of Azeroth as many you want. However, when testing, Sanity Restoration isn't working. And you no longer go insane if you don't have the Cloak equipped. Also, Mythic Gahoon apparently only requires 1 Dunk Orb. Interesting. They got rid of the timing there. And Mythic Rastakhan, they weren't able to test. Interesting. Oh, we'll get there. Okay. Let's do a little bit of a wrap-up, shall we? South Barrens. Terrible zone. Ugh. Disgusting. Also not on this list for some reason. Should be right here. I've thought over the years about some way to fix the The fact that launch events only happen during the launch event. The best answer I've ever come up with that is just to stop doing launch events. Just discontinue it entirely. Sounds like it, Kira White Noise, yeah. So I could probably finally go kill N'Zoth. I will kill N'Zoth for the first time on camera, it sounds like. Really, Huthor? What did it do this time? Okay, it's fixed again. Good. I wonder how Spine is going to be playing when we get there. Nice, Kira Noise. Good luck, because I'm told that's extremely bugged right now. God, really, Huthor? Wow. I mean, yeah, where the hell is the battle for the Undercity? And don't give me that, that wasn't Kaplan. Kaplan's cool. Who's the asshole? Who was like, we shouldn't do the battle for the Undercity because I'm an idiot. He didn't phrase it that way, but that is what he meant. Kozak. That sounds right. Okay. I really like the South Barrens, so I'm happy with that. I'm going to go ahead and chop off here. It's about cutoff time anyways. Tomorrow, I think we'll hit one of the worst zones still left in the game. Dust Wallow. I might actually just do Dust Wallow on a level 80, just to bulldoze it and get it over with. I don't know, I haven't decided yet. Either way, we'll see you guys next time.